Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Huh?
5 brain cells, 4 aren't working.
Oh, don't have the dogs up there again. Yeah. Oh, gotta get rid of these guys. Those are from yesterday. All right. How's it going out there? Well, let's see. There's a whole bunch of different things. Ashley Banfield was interviewing Steve Goncalves, and he mentioned something about Kaylee maybe having something on her mouth, like it may be gagged or something. That'd be kind of strange if, like, he had the time to gag somebody. I think he probably pressed down or did something there for sure. Hey, thanks, Betty Black. Also, Law and Crime, Angenette Levy, or I'm not sure if it's Levi, right? I mean, how do we know? Yeah, it's, she interviewed the Pullman Police Chief, and they talked about how he applied for the job there and the letter and everything. So she said we could take a look at that, and I put the link into Angenette's YouTube channel and the link to the Law and Crime video. All right, so there you go. It's in the description of the video, so go check them out. But Gray, yeah, you gotta do it's more like But Gray with a bunch of A's and then a Y at the end. Yeah. All right. So I was just going to play my animation to start it off. I mean, see, look at the work we've been doing on this channel. Look at this. Watch. Lights again. Hit 1127. This is me driving in my vehicle. King Road, and it parks for around 13 minutes. See, that's when I went back there in December. And you know, a lot of people are talking about, like, look how easily from right here you can see right into Madison's room. However, off to the left a little bit, if you're just right around, if you actually drive, vehicle comes around, let's see, so hold on, and the headlights again hit 1127. If you park right there, you can just look right into her room straight away. There's no, and even get a little angle to the right, so if she came into the room, you'd see her sort of half of her body and then her full body as she's over by her bed. So I think that's what Kohberger was doing. Every night when he would go there, those 23 times, he was just stalking, waiting, and watching. You know, I don't know if there was another time where he was prepared and he was going to go in there. I don't really know. 7 King Road, and by the way, I was going to say that Angenette Levy, she's so nice. She's a nice person. That's what I like about her. And it parks for around 13 minutes. And we are going to play the entire animation again, inside the house of what Dateline described happened inside that. Thank you, Trudy Burgoyne. Oh my God, Cheryl Moran. Thank you. How are you feeling these days? That stuff that you went through is no joke. I'm pretty sure you're back to pretty much normal by now, but the food poisoning is never fun. Unless you like sitting on the toilet for 6 hours a day. Yeah. Anyways, let's just play this. Here we go. That house. And, let me know in the comments what you guys think. So here it goes. Kohberger enters the sliding glass door that we now know, if you believe the books, that the door was broken. The sliding glass door. It didn't lock. And Kohberger goes straight up to, this is my video that I made 2 months ago. And, I sort of blur out, I don't show everything happening. But apparently inside of there he did something to Kaylee where she had marks like as if they'd pressed down. Oh, you had to go to the hospital after that? Holy crap, what happened? I thought you were all better. And there's Xana looking out the sliding glass door, thinking, is there somebody here? What do you think? Do you think that Kaylee's the one that said somebody's here? Because I'm starting to, wonder about that now. And maybe that's what alerted Xana to go up and look. What if Kaylee's, there's somebody in the room. She goes, hey, there's somebody here. And they're already in the room right that second. And then that's when the attack happened. Isn't that wild? I mean, I was just thinking that. When I was just listening to other people randomly talk about it, I was thinking, I know other people have thought that in the past. But here he is, and he leaves the sheath there. Now, did he leave the sheath there intentionally? Who knows? There's Dylan looking at her door. And we also heard that he was, Ethan was carved in the buttocks area, so that'd be like the upper thigh, and that would like a hamstring. So that's kind of what that is, right? Maybe he tried to make it so he couldn't move even if he woke up. Yeah, I thought Xana said it too, but I'm just saying, wouldn't it be interesting if Kaylee's the one who said, hey, there's somebody here, and there's somebody here, already in the room. Oh, wow, you passed out and they brought me to the hospital. Yeah, dehydration is really something that happens. Well, God, I thought you were out of the woods there, but okay. Yeah, I timed that fall right with the... And I guess we're never going to get to know, unless they interviewed him, what the timing and how things went in there. And people, in this book I'm reading, they say that Dylan and Kohberger, their eyes met. And I don't think that's... I've never heard her say that. She just said that she must have seen him because she saw his eyebrow. But it was just one eyebrow, and it makes more sense that she saw a part of it. Alright, well there is the animation. Pretty creepy, isn't it? And then obviously there's blood spatter mitigation that he's doing, putting his clothing in the bags, and then he eventually gets back in his vehicle, and then he drives away at a high rate of speed. This is exactly what it looked like, though, to him. So this is exactly what it looked like. Hope this was a little bit more shortened. And there's the surveillance. Who weren't able to watch the last one. I appreciate you guys watching. If you could hit that like. By the way, the car's only going 25 miles an hour there. It's just, that's so fast for a tiny little condensed spot like that. So when they say it's leaving at a high rate of speed, It's only going like 25 miles an hour right there. But 25 miles an hour in that tight area is quick. Yeah, well, I'm glad. Man, that's just crazy. All right. So, I guess what we could do first, if we want... Oh, look, they got the picture on Law and Crime of the... that's the back porch. So look at from here. If you move over just more to the right, there's another opening. You can see right into the bedroom. That wooden panel right there is the steps. Can you guys see that little wooden panel through there? That's the steps that go from downstairs to upstairs. Well, thanks, Roxanne. All right.
Targeted the home on King Road. We still don't know.
I think I'll just move it to where there's an actual, like when she's interviewing the guy. I mean, she had the letter on her own channel, so I did a screen grab, so I have the letter, so we can go. I mean, instead of cropping it around on here, I just want to go to this guy right here. There we go. I don't want to use all their other production stuff. So let's see.
It only takes a few minutes to watch.
I need to do these ads myself. I keep getting these people, they say, hey, you want to do some sort of, like I read something on the air. I always feel weird though, like, hey everybody, take a minute to eat some fiber. It's really good for you. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example. Try some Metamucil. It's absolutely fantastic. All right, here we go.
Jenkins, he is the police chief at Washington State University, and
I'll go back a little bit.
It only takes a few minutes to watch. Again, that's bhmd1.com/fix. That's bhmd1.com/fix.
I guess it wouldn't be bad if you just had to, you could just read it and then sort of insert it into your show. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to do it.
So I'd like to bring in Chief Gary Jenkins. He is the police chief at Washington State University and was the police chief at the Pullman Police Department.
She gave me permission to play this, by the way.
In 2022, in April of 2022. So Chief Jenkins, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, take me back, if you will, to that interview that you did with Bryan Kohberger for the internship, the research assistantship program. Does anything stand out to you from that interview?
There was nothing that was really significant about that interview or that stood out about it. I interviewed 4 people.
I think what would stand out about it is when you're oops, there you go. Hey, thanks, Lisa Valenzuela. When you talk to Kohberger, he's like a robot. He just sort of that smile he's got there must have been I bet he practiced that for months. He doesn't even know what a smile is. He just mimics other people who are smiling and go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to kind of look like this.
2 on one day, 2 on the next, all on Zoom. And I just made an assessment about who would be the best fit for that position and selected someone other than Bryan Kohberger.
Mm-hmm. And there was only one position open.
Correct. Just one position.
And he was applying in his essay, he said, for not only a position possibly for consideration with the city of Pullman, but also with the city of Pasco.
Right. Well, that program is run.
Pasco, I think I drive through when I drive from Portland to Moscow. It takes me about 6 hours when I drove there. I've been there 3 times now. It's kind of, it's actually a really beautiful drive out there. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, you're out in the middle of just nowhere. There's no, just rolling hills, even all the way there.
Through the Washington State University Criminal Justice and Criminology program, and they had that program running at Pullman Police Department and the Pasco Police Department. So there was a position open in each department.
Why did you feel that Bryan Kohberger was not the right fit for that position?
So that position really requires someone who can establish trust and rapport with my staff. And that's not an easy task with law enforcement, someone coming in from the outside that's not law enforcement. It's difficult to develop that trust to be an effective researcher. And in talking with him, he didn't communicate in a fluid or conversational manner. He wasn't particularly personable. And so I just didn't feel like he would be able to develop that trust or rapport with my staff, and therefore wouldn't be an effective researcher with us.
So it wasn't that there was something like, oh, this guy's got some red flags, but it was more like maybe he's a little awkward. He's just not going to be a good fit.
That's exactly right.
Right. So that's what his first thing that he said was sort of counter to what he's saying here. That's exactly right. When you see him, you're just like, yeah, I'm not sure about this guy.
Right. I didn't pick up on anything that was a significant red flag. It just was a matter of not being a good fit.
And he does kind of have a more formal, I guess, if you would, way of speaking from the little bit we've seen. And even in his essay that he wrote, I mean, it's very, for lack of a better word, I mean, it's very formally written, as you would expect.
Hey, there's Angenette right there, you guys. Right there. Thanks for stopping by.
But it's also, I would say, on the wonky side.
Yeah, I think he has an awkward way of communicating verbally and in writing. And so that definitely was something I recall.
So, Chief Jenkins, let's now fast forward a little bit from the spring of 2022 to fall of 2022. The homicides happen on King Road. And no, it's not in your jurisdiction, but my God, it's literally in your community. On my visits to Pullman and Moscow, it's almost like one big community, even though they're in two different states. It was always described to me that, there's a lot of going back and forth, people from Pullman to Moscow and vice versa, maybe for shopping. And a lot of the kids in Pullman know some of the kids in Moscow. So this had to be just absolutely shocking and startling. I'm thinking, my God, 10-minute drive away, 15-minute drive away, this happened.
It was shocking. It definitely was not in character for our...
Wait, why aren't they talking about Brent Kopacka, you guys? I mean, when Kohberger was driving home and he and his dad were pulled over, his dad twice kept bringing, oh my God, Brent Kopacka, the other incident over there. So even this guy's like, the bigger thing is the the homicides over there at Pullman. So you kind of wonder, like, what the hell he was, Kohberger's dad. By the way, do you guys think Kohberger's dad picked him up because he was aware of what Kohberger was doing or what happened or had suspicions of it? I think it's just so odd that he would fly all the way over there and then drive back with him for some bonding time. And I'll tell you one thing for certain is that even if those two stops were planned, they're just not admitting it, then, well, let's just say this. Whatever it was, if it's random or not, they absolutely heighten Kohberger's paranoia dramatically, don't you think? I mean, he's sitting there and he's going home. He might feel like, okay, I got away with this. All right. He knows that he left the knife sheath there, and however you want to look at it, I believe he left it there, but I'm only like 55% to 45. I'm in the camp that he left the knife sheath there intentionally as a calling card. He only missed the spot on the underside of the button snap to clean. But he also could have left it there accidentally. So let's say he's driving home and he gets pulled over twice, and at that moment he must have thought, oh shit, I left something behind. meaning like some DNA. He thought he was clever enough and cleaned it, or he left it there accidentally. But why would he be, the accidental thing is like he comes home and he's back home at 10:30. He's like, yeah, well, would you really do that if you left a knife sheath there? I think you'd be kind of freaked out. But he left it there intentionally, and you thought you cleaned it really well. But now he realizes either whatever it is, he thinks they've got his DNA now because he was pulled over twice. All right? Don't you think that that would absolutely make him freak out? So then he drives home. He's driving all the way home, and then when he gets there, he starts to throw away, with his, at his dad's house, by the way. He starts separating his trash because he knows that the DNA is why he got pulled over twice. That's what he's thinking. Had they been pulled over once, I think he would have been like, okay, I was too close to that car. But because he was pulled over twice in like a really short amount of time, which never happens to anybody, all right, I think that might have made him extremely paranoid, where then he went home and he started cleaning the car over and over and over and over again, separating his trash, wearing gloves, etc., because now he thinks he was, smart enough to realize that they've probably got his DNA now, and that something went wrong, either, the sheath, either, however you want to look at it, if he left it there accidentally or intentionally. He thinks, oh man, they've got my DNA. That's why they know who I am. And the only way they would have known is if they have my DNA. So then he started freaking out about it.
Region, and we are close-knit communities. We're somewhat isolated. The next closest bigger city would be either a 40-minute drive down to the Lewiston area or hour and a half drive up to.
That's kind of a cool video. Like there it is right there. Look. So Kohberger, right, for example, in this video, this is 1112 King Road right here, right? And there's a camera right on that door, right to the left side of that door. It looked like a light. So Kohberger probably didn't realize that was a surveillance camera. And everything else, he knew that there wasn't a camera around there. That's why this is the only camera inside that complex, other than back here. So if you were able to, so when the car drives by right here, this is 500 King Road right here, Queen Road, excuse me, and the car would have driven back like this and around back over there. So we can see that. Let's see, right in, we'll just go use, I can actually use this video here. And right when it turns around, right there. So this is now there, but driving behind 500. Notice, okay, it looks like right now it's driving behind 500 Queen Road. See that? And then it goes all the way around, and then in that same, we'll go back to where we were a second ago. And there it comes back around, and then it goes around the front. I think there's still people out there that don't even know that the car went back behind 500 King Road. They still have the car turning right there on this little side street over here. It's pretty strange. But anyways, then the car comes around here, and the headlights right now hit 1127 King Road, and then the vehicle parks somewhere along this right here. It's possible he parked further down there because that's where the DoorDash driver would have parked, and she said she was parked right next to him. And I think he may have parked there on the last one. The other, well, that would have been the third pass. Now on the last one, did he park up here more hidden, or did he go down here? Because it's a very simple step down to that lower level from right there by that tree. I even showed a 360-degree video recently of how easy it is to get from right there to down below there. All right, anyways, let's go back to, where were we? I think it's right in here, right? Yeah, so that building right there, the vehicle would have driven behind there and then came around, parked somewhere back there, went inside, right back there on this patio, went inside the house, and then this is the bathroom next to Madison Mogen, but right back through there is where her room is, and that's where he killed Madison Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves. Kaylee's room is right there. This room right here is Xana Kernodle's room. This is a window to the living room. This is Bethany Funk's room right there. That's the front door. And then there's a storage unit, you know, if you could see through this building there. All right, but it's cool to see a shot like this from up in the air like that. Hey, thanks, Teresa Aaron Murray. I turned off the audio. Hold on.
This bigger city would be either a 40-minute drive down to the Lewiston area or hour and a half drive up to Spokane. So we rely on each other a lot, and so that does make us close-knit, and we work together frequently. And on that day, when I heard about it, I made a cell phone call to Chief Fry to offer any kind of assistance that they might need. And he was actually out of town, I believe, in his car, traveling back to Moscow. And so he thanked me for the offer, and he said he would let me know if he needed anything from us. And ultimately, he didn't. They brought in a lot of other resources. A lot of times, that state line is somewhat of a barrier and with regard to resources. But if someone needs something quickly, we definitely provide assistance to each other.
This had to be something, though, since you also, are in charge of basically keeping students safe, something that you might have been closely monitoring.
Sure. And we, just like there was a vandal alert that was sent out to the University of Idaho campus, we also sent out an alert to the Washington State University campus to let them know what had happened and to, take precautions and just so that they knew that there was a serious crime, quadruple homicide that occurred, and the killer was loose, and so we wanted to make sure that people were aware of that and they can take their own precautions.
A bolo went out in November, a couple of weeks after the homicides, to law enforcement only. And there were a couple of Washington State University officers who actually noticed that there was a white Hyundai Elantra owned by Bryan Kohberger on campus. It was a different, year than they were looking for. But can you explain to me what happened with that? Because it's mentioned in the probable cause affidavit, but I feel like there's a lot of confusion about that because people think, oh, well, they were looking at him that early, but that's really not the case, I don't think, because they then made that a public bolo.
Yeah, she's right. I mean, that wasn't, they didn't know. I mean, the Kohberger nut jobs, they're the ones that think that they were already onto him, but they weren't. They were just they had the surveillance footage at that time. And hey, thanks, Tired of It All, and Kaylee and Tracy Yannock. Tracy Yannock. Yeah, they so at the time they just had the surveillance footage, especially the one from 1112 King Road. They've had that from the beginning. Then it took them a while to get all the sort of peripheral cameras from different places. Thank God that they got the one from Ridge Road, because that's the one that showed that it was missing a front license plate. But yeah, so let me just go. I think if I type it in, let's see. I think it's WSU officer. That should just go right there. All right, there you go. So what she's referring to is on November 25th, 2022, the Moscow Police Department asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout, a bolo, for a white Hyundai Elantra in the area. On November 29th, 2022, so that's 4 days later. I think he said within 16 hours, but that doesn't add up here. On November 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington State University WSU police officer Daniel Tiengo queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra, and that's what's significant because they claimed that they didn't turn it in because the original FBI assessment of what type of vehicle it was that it was a 2011 to 2013 white Elantra, but you would think that they would have a little bit more sort of intellectual curiosity than just to go, map, they got the wrong date. Well, if it was 2011 to 2013, that means they're not really sure. So turn them all in. Don't think they're not interested. At least you took the report. Hey, thanks, Shamo. Anyway, so that happened, and then another officer, literally, I think it's 30 minutes later, another officer also found the same Elantra 2015 registered to Bryan Kohberger. Right? There you go.
On December 7th.
Right. The bolo that we got was, I think, identical to the one that eventually went out to the public.
Yeah, so November 29th is when these two officers, so that wasn't even, I mean, you're only 2 weeks after the homicide. So remember how they were saying, and then it wasn't until, I think what she just said, Angenette, 12/7 is when they let the public know, I think, right? Is that right? Is that what, I don't know if that's what she said. Right?
And there were a couple of Washington State University officers who actually noticed that there was a white Hyundai Elantra owned by Bryan Kohberger on campus. It was a different, year than they were looking for. But can you explain to me what happened with that? Because it's mentioned in the probable cause affidavit, but I feel like there's a lot of confusion about that because people think, oh, well, they were looking at him that early, but that's really not the case, I don't think, because, they then made that a public bolo on December 7th.
Right.
Right.
And that's how people came up with the one. Remember the one in Eugene, Oregon or whatever? They're like, oh, that's his. They were just crazy. That's the white Elantra. And even to this day, the Kohbergers will tell you that white Elantra is, that was the real killer's vehicle.
The bolo that we got was, I think, identical to the one that eventually went out to the public, but this was on November 28th. They sent a bolo out to the local law enforcement agencies with a vehicle of interest that they labeled as law enforcement sensitive, meaning that we should not share it beyond the law enforcement community. And the description of the vehicle was a white Hyundai Elantra with between the years of 2011 and 2013. And so one of our officers, within 16 hours of receiving that bolo, was checking our parking database that includes information about vehicles that have parking permits or that pay to park on campus, and found a white Hyundai Elantra that was with Pennsylvania plates registered to Bryan Kohberger, but it was a 2015. So the bolo was very specific about the vehicle make, the vehicle model, and the vehicle year parameters and the color. So he didn't submit that as a tip. And then later, that was on graveyard shift, and then later on.
I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't you just turn any white Elantra? Yeah, I mean, it is a problem. That sucks that they didn't say 2011 to 2016, because our research showed that at 2011 to 2016, they can trade out the same windows. That's how similar they are. And I did a video with overlays of 2011 to 2016, and they're almost absolutely identical, other than the 2015 has this extra little light down in the back there. But, it's just, it sort of is a little similar, even though it didn't have the same effect, but it's similar to Dan Doolin's tip not being turned in. Isn't it similar to that? Like, imagine if that really mattered. And let's say when these two officers spotted that vehicle, they just said, screw it. And they didn't even take a report because it was a 2015. It kind of reminds you of the Dan Doolin, though, in the Delphi case.
On day shift, one of our officers was driving around and saw that same vehicle parked in graduate student housing. And again, it was not within the date parameters.
Yeah, some reflector light.
So those two officers didn't end up sending that information over to Moscow PD because of the date discrepancy or the model year discrepancy?
That's correct. Yeah, it was not sent over to their tip line.
Interesting. So did it just come up that they had queried it on that date?
Right. When Moscow PD did identify Bryan Kohberger as a suspect and connected him with the vehicle.
What do you think of that, Angenette, if you're still in the chat there?
Then they ran some checks to see who had run that plate previously and discovered those two officers had checked the vehicle, as well as a previous traffic stop that one of our officers made on Bryan Kohberger and his vehicle from, I think, back in October.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, October.
So let's fast forward. When is the next time you hear from Chief Fry about this investigation?
So I got a text from Chief Fry on December 19th asking if I could meet with him at Moscow Police Department the next morning. And so I went to Moscow PD the next morning and met Chief Fry out in their lobby, and he walked me upstairs.
Thank you, Shamo.
And we went.
Oh, I did want to, before we get going here, I did want to say something. So during that Angenette's live stream I was watching, she heard in the background, or got some notification that Stephen Stearns is going to do a plea deal on the first, the case the trial that he was about to be in. He probably didn't want all those images seen in court and people reporting on it. And he has no chance. So, I think he's going to... I also think he's going to plead guilty to the homicide of Madeline Soto. Don't you guys think that? But apparently that trial's not happening now, too, so we don't have that one to cover as well. I mean, it's just crazy.
Went into a room that included their entire investigative team. I think there were maybe 30 or 40 people in that room. And I was the only non-investigative team person in that room. They had held a couple of regional law enforcement briefings before, but this time it was just me. And so as soon as I walked in, I knew that they had something big and that it was somehow related to Washington State University. So they told me that they had developed a suspect based on DNA at the crime scene, and that suspect was a Washington State University graduate student by the name of Bryan Kohberger, who lived on the WSU campus in graduate student housing. And when I heard the name, it's somewhat of an unusual name. It took me a minute.
Bryan Kohberger.
But then I remembered that I had interviewed Bryan Kohberger, and I told the investigative team I had interviewed him.
That would have been trippy, wouldn't it? Like, you're just sitting there and you're like, Bryan Kohberger? Holy crap. I know that guy. He came in to interview for a position.
Previously for that intern position, and I had his resume and cover letter for that position that I could provide to them. And then after that, I collected information about his apartment where he lived and his graduate assistant student office that he shared with another PhD student, and in preparation to prepare a search warrant
I'll
later.
More for you. For sure.
Interesting. And so that was back on December 19th that Chief Fry texted you?
Correct.
Okay, because that's the same day the FBI said, you guys need to look at this guy. That's when they got the name from the FBI through the genetic genealogy. So I think that's really interesting. So when he says this to you and you're standing in the room and, are you kind of floored?
The hair on the back of my neck stood up. It was chilling to hear that he was a suspect, and for one, that he had been living on WSU campus, and that I had interviewed him some months prior.
And I know I'm kind of asking you to speculate a little bit here, but at this point he's a suspect. But the DNA is a pretty damning and overwhelming piece of evidence. It's a strong connection. Plus you have the white vehicle. As far as circumstantial evidence goes, those are two very incredibly those are incredible pieces of evidence. So are you thinking to yourself, I'm assuming you spring into chief mode. I mean, you've got to get to work, but you're saying the hair stood up on the back of your neck and you had interviewed him. Are you thinking, oh my God, we could have hired this guy and he, to be an intern, and he could have been in our department, and maybe this was, maybe even thinking back now, was this going to be a cover for him to be involved in a police department so he could maybe run around and commit crimes?
Yeah, I always thought something like that. Also, he could be, he wanted to get in there to see what type of, surveillance and stuff that they do use, so he could avoid that. Or he was going to commit his crimes on the Pullman campus, and he wanted to get ahead of it all the time. Kind of, it is sort of like Dexter. Dexter, he worked at the police department, and he was able to kind of use that to his advantage to take out bad guys. So he was a good serial killer. Also, somebody contacted me today and said that Steve Goncalves, in the interview with Ashley Banfield, said something about he knew about the DNA. He knew about Kohberger's DNA matching CODIS, and then she thought that this whole thing, that means there's other crimes that Kohberger did. And I said, no, it just means that somebody in law enforcement likely told him that that Bryan Kohberger's DNA matched the unknown DNA in CODIS. And by the way, this is how it works. I'll say it in here again. So when you're doing, when they find an unknown DNA sample, for example, on a knife sheath, they don't know whose it is, so they throw it into CODIS. They load it up there with all 22 markers, might be 24, I don't know, 22 or 24 markers. And they load it up there, and those are all markers that all people have, but everybody's markers, the combination of all 24 are different unless you have a twin. And each marker also has, let's say in one position you have green. Well, only 1 in 20% of the 1 in 20 have green. Okay, and your other marker, 1 in 1,000 have that one. And then this other marker, 1 in 50, and they multiply the base number, and that's how you get those crazy octillion to 1 things. Hey, thanks, Monica. Appreciate it. All right, so they loaded Kohberger's, if you really want to know, this is the simplest way to look at it. They loaded the unknown DNA into CODIS to see if there's a match to a known previous criminal. They got nothing. So they immediately deployed rapid genetic genealogy. They got Othram Labs. They were going too slow. The FBI knew of some shortcuts they could take. So they went out and did genetic genealogy, and they got a name, Bryan Kohberger. That was just a tip, though, that they gave to the Moscow Police Department. Right? And then once they got that tip, that's when the ball started getting rolling. They looked into all these different things. They found out that those 2 officers found Kohberger's white Elantra on their campus. And I think at that point is when, I bet you the hair on their neck right then happened, when they realized that the name that they came up with drives a white Elantra missing a front plate. Because by that time, they had already got all that surveillance footage, and they must have absolutely freaked out. So anyways, they found his name, and they give it to the police. They track him down, and then to verify it's him, using normal police work, that was just a lead, they then collect the trash at Bryan Kohberger's dad's house. After going through the trash, they were able to identify the biological father of the sample that was from the knife sheath. All right? And so that was enough to arrest Bryan Kohberger. So after they arrested Kohberger, they swabbed his mouth, and then after swabbing his mouth, they created another CODIS profile and submitted that to CODIS, and all 24 of the markers matched. And that's why when you do the math with the base number, it's in the octillions. You know, there isn't enough people in the universe. If there were planets everywhere, that would have somebody like that. All right, and that's how it worked. That simple, really simple stuff. All right.
Well, I mean, that's always possible. It's also possible that this had all been calculated and he was hoping to be in a position to find out about confidential information. And so, yeah, there's lots of possibilities there. But ultimately, I definitely was, I was very relieved that I had not hired him.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
So from there...
I mean, how bad would that look, by the way? I mean, you hire this guy, and he ends up killing all these people, and he's been working inside the... Man, that was a huge save on his part.
You go back to WSU, and you have to get to work because you know that stuff is going to be happening. So what do you do after that?
Well, they had asked me not to share that information with anyone, including my own department. So for me, I was getting information about where he was working on campus and where he lived on campus again, and because I knew that there would be search warrants served at some time. And then ultimately when they kept me in the loop about when they were planning to make the arrest and serve a search warrant at Brian Kohberger's home in Pennsylvania, we wanted the search warrants to be served pretty much simultaneously, just so there were no issues with any potentially someone else that may have been involved or assisting that could circumvent, those warrants. So we ended up serving those warrants on December 30th. We had Idaho State Police come over to assist our staff with those warrants and doing the searches.
So when do you get the call that, okay, we've got him in custody and you can go in and do the search warrant now?
Well, we had a tentative time set up. It was early in the morning of December 30th. And then we got a call that they had made entry to the house and made the arrest. And then that's when we started the warrant. It was, I think, maybe 5 or 6 in the morning.
Mm. And when you get in there, what's it like?
The apartment was sparse. It didn't look like someone was actively living there. It was almost to the point where someone maybe was not planning to come back. So it was not a typical occupied type of an apartment.
Interesting. So, no clothes hanging in the closet, or was it just no books, or just, was there furniture, or could you describe
there was some furniture, very few clothes, not even a shower curtain.
Okay, well, there you go. So that right there says that there wasn't a shower curtain then, but in that one he does his thumbs up, there's something behind him that has something. So I don't know if what that means, but that is interesting that he says not even a shower curtain. I mean, obviously he'd been taking showers. Maybe he took the shower curtain with him because he feared that there'd be DNA of him on there.
I don't recall if there were any books there, but there was just very little.
Wow, it's crazy. It's just like this bare house, almost like he... Do any of you wonder if he intended to... he wanted himself to get fired? It just doesn't seem like he was really... I think he was going to kill, and then, like later on, let himself be fired. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he tried really hard to stay there. So it's odd that they had so little of anything. He had so little of any sort of living things inside the house or apartment. I mean, it's just bare,
So Chief Jenkins, you guys get in there, and the place looks like it's deserted, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Almost like he already moved.
you get in there and you do the work of executing a search warrant. So what do you do next?
Well, Idaho State Police collected some items, and we held on to it. They couldn't take it into Idaho yet without a court order since it's across state lines. So we held on to those items until a court order was obtained, and then Idaho State Police came over and picked up the evidence. We're doing a lot of communication with our campus. Students and faculty and staff were concerned, and
yeah, like I think maybe he wasn't going to go back there, and so he didn't want to be expected back, so he sort of let himself be fired and made sure that he didn't do any of those other things. No, so she said I could use it, Teresa. Right. I mean, you don't have to watch it. You can go watch something else. I've seen it 3 times today already.
Scared. This was, however, during winter break, so there were not a lot of people on campus at the time, but there were still.
Yeah, so there it is. The car just would drive up there. Now look at this. This is a really cool way to look at it. See, on the third pass, when the vehicle comes around, I think it's very possible that it just parked right here. And then the DoorDash driver maybe pulled in was already here. I think just miraculously the DoorDash driver got there at like 3:57, while he's behind the building over there, pulls in, and then he comes down and parks here. And he's kind of, maybe saw the light was on or something, and he parks there, and then he leaves. And then what's interesting is at 3:59, and I think it was 4 seconds, he's driving on Willanta Drive north, and then he does a U-turn up there because he's coming back at 4 o'clock and I think 14 seconds, a minute 10 later, and he does not go into the complex again. I think that's something that's really interesting, that he does not go back into the complex. So he drives down Taylor Avenue, and that's the one time he went that direction, and it's the reason that he made the mistake of driving the other direction on Ridge Road, which showed that he was missing a front license plate. He had never actually driven in front of the building, and he only did it that one time. So the DoorDash delivery itself is likely the reason that they got the image of the missing front license plate. Isn't that amazing? So Xana, ordering that food late at night, that's what led to the great image of the missing front plate.
All students that would be coming back for the next semester and parents that had been following this. And so we spent a lot of effort with all of our campus partners, with our Dean of Students Office and Counseling and Psychological Services, President's Office and the Provost's Office, just communicating with everyone about what we knew, what measures we're taking to keep our campus safe, and a commitment to keep everyone informed with the information we have.
If you're aware of that, why do you repeat it?
As the case moves
Teresa?
Forward and it's heading toward trial, he tried to get all of the evidence thrown out, of course, and those efforts failed. We heard about the stargazing, driving around, alibi, all of these things.
Oh yeah, he was stargazing at Wawa Park. I'll show you where that is. It's over, I think I can just, I'm not even sure where I am. I think I'm in Delphi right there. Right. I'm going to have to turn back on the, let's see, Kohberger. I have a whole folder full of, there it is. I have so many pins on this, it's crazy. Right there, so. Yeah, Wawa Park is right over here, I think. Yeah, Wawa County Park. And I actually just went there a couple weeks ago. And, you just drive around in there. It doesn't really seem like a stargazing type of place. But I'll tell you what, this is what was interesting, is we were in Clarkston right here. And then we drove across this bridge right here, the 128. And then after driving across, we go down 193, and you're all the way down on 193 is the entire way is along a river. So, I mean, there's any spot here. He could have pulled over, and probably if you were going to do it, you'd be on a longer straightaway so you could throw it in and see that nobody's coming, you know, or maybe even a place like over here so that you can, I mean, if you were on the road in a place that's a curve this direction, you could see a long ways away that there's nobody there, like way over there. You could see nobody's coming, and it would have been during the daytime too, and you could see this direction, nobody's coming, and you just chuck it in the water. I mean, who the hell is going to find that on a 15-mile or whatever it was? It might even be longer than that. Drive over there. You know, so you just you go all the way down, and maybe he brought up Wawawe Park just because at some point, at some time, his car was there, and he thought maybe they could show that it would ping in that area, so he brought that up. That was the dumbest alibi in the history of mankind. It was just absolutely idiotic. Well, I was stargazing on a cloudy night. You know, I don't know if I was doing that. I just do that sometimes. I mean, isn't that weird? That's how they worded it. Well, sometimes I would go stargazing, you know. So maybe I was doing that night. Well, how come you can't tell us exactly what you were doing? I mean, we know that you were south of Moscow, near Blaine, just 28 minutes after you left the house. And by the way, I actually figured out that it's impossible to go from Moscow, Idaho at 1122 King Road, right over here, and then ping near Blaine down here. And by the way, I was confused the other day. This was Highway 95 right here, this Renaissance Road. So the probable cause is correct. This route right here. Okay, that was not Renaissance Road at the time, and this is new, and they're not even done with this. Like, this is, look at that. There's nothing even underneath the line here, so it's not even in existence currently. However, if you go forward here, you can see, okay, now they're building some roads, and it looks like is this brand new? Oh, well, look at that. They just uploaded this July of 2025. So they are almost basically done. I think you can actually drive on this now. Look at that. That's crazy. So this just got finished probably around the time that I was there. So this is new. This used to be Highway 95. And yeah, so if you want to, this is Blaine right there, right? If that was 448, it's impossible to get from here to Wawawe Park and then back to Pullman over here by 5:30. It's absolutely impossible. I mean, I guess it's possible if you drove 98 miles an hour. He probably wasn't doing that.
I mean, were you following this closely in the news, or was it just something that kind of was happening in the background?
No, I was following it. Very interested to see how it was going to play.
Thanks, Teresa. I'm just under. Nobody's attacking you, Teresa. I was just wondering why you say that. You know, it makes me. It was just an odd thing to do. You came in here and started telling everybody how you already seen it 3 times, and you know, I've only seen it. I had actually never even watched it all the way through. I just saw what they were talking about because I don't like to get where I'm watching it for like a 3rd time, you know.
Play out. We obviously had a big stake into what had happened and what is going to happen, so we followed it closely.
Mm-hmm. So he's heading toward trial. Everybody's getting ready for a trial. I mean, obviously, you know, the police, the Moscow PD, the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, everybody's preparing for a trial. You know, the courts are preparing for a trial, and then, boom, plea deal. What was your reaction when you found out about that?
Well, initially I was surprised, particularly with how aggressive the defense had been in in their emotions, and so I wouldn't have guessed that there would have been a plea deal, but ultimately I'm relieved. I think it's a great deal, and
Okay, now you're just. Oh man, I'm gonna. All right, here we go.
I think, I understand that some of the victims' families have difference of opinion about that plea deal, and I don't fault any of them for the opinions that they have. I can't imagine what they're going through and how they're dealing with it. But I think in the long run, it's a good deal, because whenever there's a death penalty case, there's always appeals and continued hearings, and every time that happens, that brings everything back up, particularly for the victims' families. And so I think it's going to be good for. I think it does bring them justice. I know it's not exactly what some families wanted.
I mean, that's what we've talked about, is that I would be more like, I think most people would feel like they might be more like Steve Goncalves, like I want to go to trial. And he's the Pullman Police Chief. So I think most people would be like the Goncalves is. Like, you'd want there to be a trial, to get answers, and to get something that you feel like is justice. But, when you listen to some of these books that are out there, or I have books on audibles, and I listen to it, you can hear how, like, the Chapins, they have other kids that they need to focus on and give some sort of a normal life to, and then you have Madison's mom and stepdad, who, that was their only kid, but it's been so devastating to them, and they don't want to have to keep going through the same thing for years and years of appeals. And so, let's say, I always say this example. If this case had gone to trial, and let's say that they were found guilty. I mean, Kohberger was found guilty, right? But then it gets to the penalty phase, and there's a couple holdouts. Yeah, he seems, I believe in the autism thing or whatever, and maybe that's something. And they don't give him the death penalty. Well, now you've got a guy that is going to be, the same sentence, basically, of life in prison, but there's going to be many appeals he's going to get to have. Although Judge Hippler just seemed to say that, he'll still be able to appeal and do things like that, even though he signed the thing that said he can't appeal. It'll just be harder for him to win an appeal because he signed that. Yeah, and I think that's exactly how it should be, because I think the fact that Kohberger signed the no appeals should tell everybody out there that Bryan Kohberger did it. There's no way in hell an innocent person who's just going, almost like an Alford plea, is going to, or if he's trying to protect his parents, for example, are going to take a plea where you get to have no appeals. That's ludicrous, okay? So he knows he did it. He's just doing it to save his own life, as we've been talking about.
But I think it's a good deal.
And if you really kind of break it down and think about what could have happened, even if he was convicted by the jury at trial, there was no guarantee that the jury would then later come back with a verdict or a recommendation that he be sentenced to death. I mean, it just takes one
He
juror.
could have been found guilty, etc.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, there were lots of unknowns, lots of what ifs had it played out. So this removes all of that.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of rumors and things like that after his arrest that possibly he could have done some strange things on the WSU campus or around Pullman. There were rumors about a break-in at the chemistry lab and things like that. And there was also some reporting by Dateline NBC that he had possibly broken into the apartment of his office mate at Wilson Short Hall, a woman with whom he shared an office and with whom he was friendly. Are you able to give us any insight into either of those events?
I don't have any evidence to show that he did. I did hear about the break-in of someone that he worked with.
Hey, by the way, let's hit that like button, you guys. Pretty simple to do, all right? So now we are relegated to doing the auctioneer. Where the hell is that? Oh, it's on another page. Here we go. All right, hit that like button 10, 20, 25, 30. Hit that like button 40. It's the easiest damn thing to do in the world. Use your nose, use your toes, whatever blows. Hit that like button. Hit that like button 10, 20, 25, 30. We've only got 233 likes. We need more than that. All right, there you go. And also, if you're out there and you want to help support the Gray Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, I would appreciate it. My YouTube channel has donated $251,000 and $500, so $251,500 since January of 2020, and we do that by ad revenue and super chats and channel memberships, etc. And at the end of the month, we donate thousands of dollars to various true crime related charities. Gave $3,000 last month, gave $5,000 the month before that. And if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Or a neighbor, and that was never reported to us, and so it was something that we didn't investigate. So we just don't have any evidence to show that he committed any crimes on campus.
Well, what are your thoughts now as we head towards sentencing, and he's going to be spending, as far as we can tell, the rest of his life in prison behind bars?
I think I think there's only one unanswered question at this point, and that's motive. I think we can look at his.
Hey, Big Darren, I know you're just trolling here, because what you're typing in is ludicrous. Hey, everybody, here's Big Darren's genius comment here. I think he felt guilty for his folks because his parents. Because them and their names were being brought into the future trial and worried they would lose their jobs like his sister. They had a reputation to protect. That might be why he confessed, all right? I mean, but he's not doing it. I mean, it doesn't mean he didn't do it. See, I hope, I don't know if that's what you're saying with that. I don't necessarily see that, but if you're saying that he didn't do it, he was just trying to protect his parents so they could have jobs in the future, then that's just absolutely true. Okay, so you're just throwing it out there as a statement saying ultimately he didn't think he could win, but he also thought, okay, I need to stop this right now to help my parents out. Is that what you're saying? Okay. I think I read it wrong the first time.
Interests in his past and come up with some
we all
possibilities,
get it.
But I think that's the one unanswered question. Let
me see what this last one is.
The apartment of his office mate at Wilson Short Hall, a woman with whom he shared an office and with whom he was friendly. Are you able to give us any insight into either of those events?
I don't have any evidence to show that he did.
Yeah, I think you're probably
I
right.
did hear about the break-in of someone that he worked with or a neighbor, and that was never reported to us. And so it was something that we didn't investigate. So we just don't have any evidence to show that he committed any crimes on campus.
Well, what are your thoughts now as we head towards sentencing, and he's going to be spending, as far as we can tell, the rest of his life in prison behind bars?
I think I think there's only one unanswered question at this point, and that's motive. I think we can look at his interests and his past and come up with some possibilities, but I think that's the one unanswered question. But I'm happy to see that there's no chance of appeal. I suspect that he'll get 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. So I think there is justice for the families and the community. And my hope is, and I think this will happen, is that these murders aren't going to define the community of Moscow or Pullman, that the way that the communities came together and supported each other, I think that's what's going to define these communities moving forward.
There's Zozo, yeah.
No doubt. And I hope people can focus on honoring and remembering Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. And the focus can go back to them and some healing can begin. Thank you so much, Chief Gary Jenkins of the Washington State University Police Department. I really appreciate your time.
Well, there you go.
You're very welcome.
And Bryan Kohberger will be formally sentenced to those 4 consecutive life sentences.
Well, that's coming up
on July 23rd.
I think she's going there for law and crime. I'm apparently supposed to be on court TV on the 22nd and the 23rd in the evening, but I'll stream it live anyways.
In Boise, Idaho, at the Ada County Courthouse, and I will be there. So stay tuned for more coverage on Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.
Thank you, Angenette Levy. So it's Levy, see? There you go. That's what I said originally. All right. Well, thank you for letting us play that. Let's see. He is the university. He's the Pullman Police Department's police chief. No, he was definitely afraid of death. Yeah, he didn't want to die. I think people probably would have forgave his family more if he'd gotten the death penalty. Knowing that, okay, they're losing somebody. Instead, I don't think his plan worked well. Like, it didn't, it just didn't make any sense, right? It's just kind of dumb. Hey, thanks, Allie Cake. I thought he said he was Washington University. That's what I meant. Well, didn't I say that? I meant to say he's Washington State. I think he's Washington State University Police. Is that not what I said? I meant to say Washington State University. If I didn't say that. Yeah, he's the, for the school. I think his dad may have known something was up. Yeah, that's what I think. For sure. So I've got the audio. I'm just going to play some audio from Ashley Banfield's interview with Goncalves. All right, let's see what it says.
Was your reaction to the decision today that the gag order will be lifted, but the motions won't be unsealed? Not yet, anyway.
We requested for basically Kaylee, what happened to Kaylee. So I know her sisters want to do a victim statement and address the exacts, some of the things that happened to her. And they basically wouldn't share any information with us on, what happened to her. So I'm pretty used to how ridiculous, not just a gag order, but sealing something that has nothing to do with the victim's rights. It's all about, I hate to say it, but it is a lot to do with the media and people being put on cameras and not knowing what to say, or things coming out that they didn't mean to say, or just didn't have a good explanation of what was going on. So
yeah, I mean, I don't even know why there's a gag order after he confessed. I mean, there shouldn't have been. He does a plea deal. He signed everything. He can't even appeal. So what problem would it have? If your officers can't go out and give like a cogent interview with the factual elements of the case, I don't know what to tell you. I can do it. I mean, like if I can do it about all the elements that we get to know about. So why can't they do it? I always think it's strange when you listen to Even Bill Thompson, when he was at the plea hearing, and he said this long thing, exactly the same stuff that we've said for almost 2 years. I've almost repeated exactly what Thompson said. He said a couple things that we didn't know, but he also got stuff wrong in there. And it's like, how did you get stuff wrong? It's just weird. I mean, don't you have it just memorized like it's part of your soul?
They wrap this SEAL thing around trying to pretend like they're, trying to protect people and doing all that, but they gave out people's initials at the very beginning, so it's just a dog and pony show that we're supposed to pretend like, like there's top secret information inside these docs. It's pretty gross, and we're fed up with it, and we're glad that it's over, and we just, you only got one time to be able to be a victim's advocate and say what you need to say and to address the courtroom and everyone in Idaho. And they're not gonna let us know exactly what happened. So it's just terrible. You're gonna go in there, we're gonna make statements, and we don't want to say anything inaccurate. We want to make sure everything we say is exactly truthful.
Right. So when they give their impact statements, they want to have the facts of the case so that they can what they're saying is correct. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, I don't understand.
And it's one of those times where they could bend the rules, but they don't.
I seem to recall there was some discussion that the judge was going to meet with families and tell you privately things that were going to be released in the gag order. Is that still a possibility, or is there no discussion of that?
There's no discussion of that. We just, Shannon just sent him an email and just said, are you really going to make my clients go through 3 different agencies to get this information that they want to see? Like go through Freedom of Information Acts for the state of Idaho, for the county of Latah, and then, there's federal ones as well. There's even other states. So it's like they could make it happen, but clearly the willpower isn't there. I don't think they really want anyone talking to the media and questioning. Remember, these people said that it was a crime of passion, it was targeted, and it was an isolated event. All this language, and then they even said, you're gonna have to trust us. You're just gonna have to wait and trust us. And now we've waited, and it's like, no. Well, there was no connection whatsoever that we could establish. So how do you get isolated? How do you get targeted? So I think it's more about covering up some of the mistakes that they made. They don't want to talk about destroying the crime scene and how questionable that was. So they just say, well, we're gagged, and now that the gag's over, you guys aren't going to know exactly what we were talking about during the last 2.5 years.
I can't imagine the frustration that you and Christy and the kids and everybody else who's been directly affected as victims of Bryan Kohberger's hideous, horrific actions. I can't imagine what it's like. I do know that the prosecutor sent you an email leading up to the decision to...
I think Xana was probably on her back over there.
Offer this plea deal. Now that the gag order is lifted, are you able to share what was in that email?
Yeah, we kept it, but yeah, we could forward it to you guys, and then you guys could share it to your audience. It is what it is, man. You got to put yourself in the position of a parent, read that email, and wonder if that's what you thought was going to happen, and that kind of language doesn't really sound like it's a negotiation. It basically just tells us that it's over, it's done with. And,
yeah, we know who he was, Teresa.
And just get on board. Get on board.
No solicitation for your thoughts, your opinions, to weigh in on the possibility of a plea agreement being offered?
No, it was just basically paperwork. We were asked if we had ever been offered a plea deal or gave one. We said no. He was like, Judge Hippler said, well, you probably should at least, look into that. And what's that look like for you guys? And we said, we're not in it. We're in it for the death penalty. The choice is he could be fired at, or he could.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I guess apparently Bill Thompson's never lost a case, and he's also had plea deals before on other cases. But I think if he wanted to make the decision, he probably didn't feel like he could have Steve Goncalves in there because he knows where his stance is. It's been pretty clear in the media. So he probably ended up talking to Mogen's parents and Xana and Ethan's. Now apparently Xana's mom is now on board with that, or not her parents. Her mom said, here's something her mom said. Her mom said, Xana's mom, the one that wasn't really around too much, said she forgives him because she's found, Jesus or something. And I'm just like, you know what? Aren't there some people out there that you just don't forgive? Like, isn't Kohberger exactly the person that you don't forgive for something like that? Like, I don't even understand the concept, to be honest with you. Like, how do you forgive somebody like that? Oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and I've thought about it, and I forgive you, man. It's ridiculous. I think it doesn't even make sense. That's what she said. Yeah, it's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't understand the ability for people to do that, to forgive somebody who's an absolute, like a serial killer. I mean, I know it's kind of just totally overboard, but to say like something like, oh yeah, I thought about it and I forgave Hitler, after what do you mean? What the hell are you talking about? You can't, there's no forgiving somebody like that. Kohberger's one of those types. He's a psycho that killed 4 kids, right? Nobody's going to forgive Hitler, right? I mean, because, he was a monster who killed millions and millions of people. So it's like Kohberger is, I think he's the same. I think Kohberger's a person who would have been a school shooter at a different time. If things had just fallen into the right place for him, he would have been one of those guys. He's a nut job. Crazy.
Take a shot. Those are the two options that we would agree to. And then we did, we would have, if it would have got to negotiations, we would have negotiated a lot better than Thompson. Thompson negotiated like a 5-year-old kid. He didn't force him to say that he did it solo by himself. Didn't force him to prove that he was wearing the suit or show us where the sheath, the knife is to the sheath. There's a right way to do things, and then there's...
Yeah, we've been saying that for the whole time. It's like, Bill Thompson let people down if he didn't talk to Kohberger and get the information. Like, this is how I would have done it. Okay, we'll do the deal with you, but, off the record right now, you're going to tell us exactly what you did, and you're going to say where the knife sheath is, and you're going to tell how everything went down, how you chose your victims, etc. And then we will allow you to sign this. But if he didn't do that, then Bill Thompson, he should be ashamed of himself. If Bill Thompson did not get the information that would provide answers to the family, and it was just for his own sort of, like his own whim and thoughts about how he just knows everything, he knows better for the families, and I'm just going to do this, and he didn't get information from Kohberger, and that wasn't part of the deal, then he is it doesn't matter what he would say, you got to get him to say something. And you have to get him to show you exactly where he put the K-bar knife, right? And you don't know what he would have done, Charlene. He might have been proud, or Carolina, or whatever it is. He would have been proud of his accomplishments. He knows he's going away forever, so he'd want to tell it all. Oh yeah, you should have seen this one time. It'd probably be the first time his eyes lit up. But yeah, you guys, if you're out there watching, if you have the ability to help support the Gray Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, we do a lot of great stuff here. I do live streams every single day. I haven't really had a chance to make videos lately, but yes, if you have the ability to, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Just, I want it over with because, I want my summer back and I want to go retire. So that's what we got. We got a pitiful effort from an old man who's retiring and doesn't believe in the death penalty and really had no right to even be in that room. And it's a shame that we didn't have any other choices that we could have pushed for. We tried. I mean, I tried to even hire a prosecutor. I would have paid to have my daughter in a separate case and with our own prosecutor that we paid for, and not even made Idaho pay one penny, and it would have turned out differently.
Yeah, I think what you wanted is a different. I mean, the thing is, do you guys think it matters what political party a prosecutor is in terms of the death penalty? Because I think it does. I think it matters a lot. There's just some people just aren't willing to go the extra mile to get that death penalty, and some are. I think there is a correlation there in this case.
Which leads me to another question. There are still civil avenues open to you, wrongful death suit against Bryan Kohberger. Do you and your attorney Shannon Gray plan to mount?
Right. Well, that's it turns out that Bill Thompson is not a Republican. Okay, I'm just letting you know. And not that it's all the answer to everything. I'm just telling you that I think that's exactly why that was part of his philosophy going in. Matter of fact, I bet you he hasn't put anybody to death. With his, I bet you it's never happened.
Any kind of action after this, or are you done?
Of course, if they had killed his family members, he'd probably think a little differently. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of their strategy for this sealing and gagging was because they were afraid of the civil actions. But those are mostly have to be brought up within 2 years. And it's hard to bring something up that you're not been able to even look at. Like, we don't even know who made the decision and what was all done. So I think this was a strategy for them to cover up their tails and the university's ass. And, there's two huge universities there. One, they literally sent the students back saying it was an isolated, targeted event. And literally the murder was hired by one of the universities and was literally in a position of power who had already harassed girls. And they hadn't even taken those investigations seriously. So, yeah, there was a lot. People need to look back when he was...
Yeah, you got to sort of feel bad for the Goncalves just knowing that. Like, I actually think he was trying to avoid... Once the death penalty was on there, he knew, okay, I could use this to get a deal. I can get him out because I don't want to do the death penalty. I don't believe in it.
He's fired on the 19th. That's the exact same day that the police said that the FBI told them that Bryan was a suspect. It's kind of more than suspicious that WSU fired him that exact same day while he was out on the back in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. They fired him. So obviously they heard about what was going on, and it was cover their tails, and that's why we have all this sealed stuff, and we're still fighting for the information to come out when it's just 4 kids that got killed in their bed. There's no top secret information here. There's no national security. It's literally people thinking that they don't work for us anymore, guys. They think that we are lucky to be in that courtroom, and they're like a form of royal bloodlines, and they sit there in that courtroom and they tell us how it goes, and how dare us question them, and how dare us know what's going on and question what they're doing. And I appreciate the media because, it's one thing an angry dad saying that. It's a different thing for, ex-prosecutors to get on your guys' station and say, this is questionable. Why'd they tear the house down? There's literally the 1112 video is referencing sounds in that house. Yeah. So, it could easily be that a jury wanted to reproduce what those sounds would have sounded like on that camera, and they couldn't do that once the house was torn down.
Mm-hmm. Was there any contact made or any overture at all from prosecutor's office, the victim's rights advocate that's supposed to be associated with you, about the process going forward now in order to find out more information? Have they at least guided you? Will you have a better shot at getting information than someone like me?
No, they don't like us. They don't like the fact that we question their authority. They don't like the fact that we talk to you guys right now. So I don't think they'll help us at all. They'll try to make it as most difficult as possible because we bring a huge spotlight. You know, if we're gonna read it, we're gonna explain it to people how we understand it, and I don't think they want.
I mean, law enforcement probably treats Steve like he burnt the bridges, all their bridges that they tried to build with him, but I think he's sort of like a lot of us would be. You know, who's gonna sit around and just sort of wait all the time and just kind of, you know, I mean, I think law enforcement should always keep families completely up to date, especially cases like this when the person is a completely unknown, you know, it's like once they've figured out who he was, they're not connected to anything. I mean, just keep the family in the loop. It's not like you're not protecting anything. I mean, if you tell them listen, we'll give you everything that we can as often as we can. We just can't have you go out there and talking about it in the media, okay? I always feel like the communication between police departments, hey, thanks, Laney Carter. Thanks for getting that membership. Yeah, we've got only 3 memberships tonight, and we're not at the goal yet. So if you're out there and you have the ability to, that'd be great. Yeah, just sit around, and I just think that they should keep families updated all the time with every like a really and good sort of significant information, right? And then say, but if you ever go out and say this, we're gonna have to cut you off, right? Something like that. If you tell the media,
want that attention, and that's probably why most of them have already retired. So yeah, I don't think we're going to get any help. We don't have a victim's advocate. She's bound by the rules of that court. So if the judge tells her to shut her mouth and don't talk about it, there's an open investigation of the leak, and she's a part of that team.
Yeah, Bill Thompson's political views would completely shift the moment something happened to a family member of his.
She can't talk to us. We brought up the leak in court January 13th. Gray accused that office of leaking the information, and
wait, who's that? Who's that? Sounded like you said my name, didn't it? That was weird. Hey, thanks, Love Boston.
She's bound by the rules of that court. So if the judge tells her to shut her mouth and don't talk about it, there's an open investigation of the leak, and she's a part of that team. She can't talk to us. We brought up the leak in court January 13th. Gray accused that office of
leaking. Is that my name? What's he talking about?
Leaking the information. And ever since then...
Is there somebody else in there named Gray? Someone with the last name of Gray, maybe? I don't know.
We've been able to prove that we got...
That was weird.
We got we knew about the sheaf.
Hey, thanks, Cheryl Moran, and also Love Boston up there.
And the DNA, CODIS hit, all that stuff before. And you think if there's an investigation, why hasn't anyone ever called us and asked us where we heard it? You know, so there is no investigation going on. They're lying to Hitler if they're telling him there's an investigation. There's no investigation going on because the first person who told you that there was leaks and proved to you by telling you what they've heard, that eventually becomes part of your case. You know, the sheep, we knew about the sheep before it was. We knew about the white car before they released it. They never came and asked us.
Hey, but one of the things I always say, I think they were talking about it earlier, is now, what do you think about the sheath? I mean, it's a really kind of interesting argument, not an argument, like something to think about in logic regarding the knife sheath and the Elantra, right? So I brought this up many times, but you know, there's always new people. So what do you think what could you make a better case in? If you had the knife sheath with DNA on it and no surveillance footage at all, and he'd left his phone at home and there's no ping information, or if you had all of that surveillance footage of the Elantra and the sheath, but no DNA on it, I think you could make one hell of a powerful circumstantial case in that second scenario. However, the first one, just having DNA on a knife sheath, then the argument about touch DNA is so much stronger for the defense. They could just go, he wasn't even around. You don't even, his phone's pinging at his house. The other one is huge. I mean, like, you could go on and on and on and on and on. Now it's a K-bar knife. And then once you've developed a name, because they would have found him through the Elantras that were seen, so they would have come up with his name. Then they'd see that he ordered the K-bar knife. He bought a balaclava. That's still in existence. Then they'd have the white Elantra that he was driving. Now they got a white Elantra without a front license plate, just like his. And it would go on and on and on and on. Yeah, for me, I could make a better case with the surveillance and the sheath. Without the sheath, though, like if Kohberger didn't leave the sheath there for whatever reason, let's see, this case would be a little more difficult. Quite a bit more, because even if you developed a name of somebody, because you'd have Kohberger, his phone would have turned off at 254 on Nevada Drive over there. It would have turned off. So you'd have that, and then that'd be and look at that, Kohberger's phone turned back on at 448 near Blaine. So that sort of shows that he could have been traveling through here. And now we got the surveillance footage of a white Elantra driving around. We see that, and it's missing a front plate like his. And now here's one of the key elements of the case is this right here. That the white Elantra, when it stopped at 408 and drove away at a high rate of speed at 420 and 47 seconds. See, that's just a massive piece of circumstantial evidence. So if you can somehow convince a jury that that is his white Elantra because of the timing of when he turned off his phone, then you could say that the murders happened in between 408 and 420. And then the car drives away. So that means Bryan Kohberger was there in his vehicle outside, and it drove away at a high rate of speed. And then you could sort of make the circumstantial case that, it was a large knife, and then he purchased a K-bar knife. You could go through that whole thing. It's just kind of an interesting thing to think about. What if there was DNA on the sheath, or if there wasn't DNA on the sheath, but the sheath was there, that's really helpful, because that matches up with his Amazon. But if he had not left it there with no DNA, man, you're sort of just stuck with the cell phone and the Elantra and nothing that ties him to inside the house. See, the sheath, even without the DNA on it, he's still tied to inside the house because of the Amazon purchase of that exact same make and model. You get what I'm saying?
Who told us that information? They didn't even try. So
who was it?
Oh, I would never. I'm not going to give that information out. I really respect the people that actually reached out and tried to help us. They're awesome mothers and fathers, and they cared about their community, and they wanted to make sure that this was done the right way. And we did know some stuff, but I respect all those people, and I would never give out their information.
I didn't know he was listening, M10.
Understanding. It makes perfect sense. You got a loyalty to those who loved you and cared for you throughout this horrible process. In the interim, I kept thinking along the way there would be things that that we don't know, and that you were sworn to secrecy because of the gag order or any other reasons. Is there information you know now that I haven't known and the rest of us haven't known up until today?
This is what Ashley, she's put a bunch of videos out, and also on the longer form video.
Most of the information we found out were just people calling up. I've had other officers call us up. And
yeah, so he's got information from other officers. I'm sure one of the officers probably called him up and said, hey, they may match Kohberger's DNA to CODIS. And what do you think that means? Yeah, when they put his DNA from the swab into CODIS, it matched the unknown sample that's in there, right? That's exactly how it works. And by the way, there's no quantification. You know how there's the quantification like, 6.4 octillion to 1, that kind of thing? Now, actually, his was 5. I said 6 earlier. It's 5.37 octillion times more likely, not 6. All right, so it's 5.37 times more likely octillion. You can't quantify, like if you just had a DNA sequence and you match it to another DNA sequence, you could look at it and go, yeah, this appears to be the same individual. But it's CODIS that gives you the mathematical calculations. And as I was saying earlier, one marker, they have all these different stats for in each marker place. Let's say you had an apple in marker 1. Oh, and there's a banana in marker 1. And there's grapes in marker 1. Well, a banana is 1 in 50 have the banana, and 1 in 10 have the apple, and 1 in 3 have the grapes, right? So it does that for each marker you go through. And, you know, obviously if he matches all 22 or 24 markers, then what you do is you take the bottom number, you multiply the 30 times the 10 times the 3 times the 20 times the 15 times the this, ding, 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 ding. And by the time you get all the way through, that's the odds of it being somebody else.
Just say, I don't know what just happened in the court today, but I don't support it. People so angry at what was happening in that courtroom that they would literally pick up their phone and call us and say, this is what's on Bryan's phone. This is what
how do you know Laney Carter?
This individual was sexually
where is the DoorDash driver fiance out there talking?
Motivated. I don't care what Thompson said. They've got a plan for him. They've got a job role for that man, and it's not every day that you get somebody who wants to be a police officer, is dying to be a police officer, is literally talking to them every single day about how he was going to be a police officer. It's not every day you get a master's degree in criminology that is going to go to prison.
That's not real.
They're going to leverage that. That's
I don't believe it at all. That there was
they're not interested in him being locked up in 23 hours of solitaire where he's not going to be able to have any influence. They want him to go in there and actually have influence and work with them.
And be a resource for crime fighting in the future?
Yeah. His fantasy was to be an officer, or the earliest one was like a Green Beret or something like that, a Ranger. So this guy's had like these grandeur visions of himself since he...
I guess there's one way you could look at it. Like maybe if he got the job working for the police, maybe it's possible he wouldn't have been a killer. Maybe that was just another thing that he was like, these guys, I'll show you, I'll commit the perfect crime. But I don't think so. I think he was doing those studies out there, and he knew all about what not to do, what not to leave at a crime scene.
He was just a little kid, and I think one of the first things he told the officers when they arrested him in Pennsylvania was like, let's get a cup of coffee. I'm working on my criminology PhD, and I'd like to interview you. It's like, this guy wants to be a cop or wants to be somebody of importance. He always has been, and that was part of the reason why we were trying to get them to take that into account and not plead with him. Don't give him the position of power. Basically dictate the terms to him and say we're not going to accept this unless you prove who you are.
Still fascinated by the comment he made upon arrest. Have you arrested anyone else? Thinking, is he throwing a red herring in? Is he really curious about other possible suspects? But
maybe he's worried about his dad, driving back with him. You know, maybe he was thinking, oh, you're not going to arrest my dad, are you?
I'm very curious about what you just mentioned, that coming out of hearings, there would be people who would call you and say, I don't like what's happening in that courtroom. I know what's on his phone. I know. What did you learn from those phone calls without divulging who it was who called?
Just weird porn fetishes, but two of the fetishes were in that room. Drunk, passed out girls and gagging girls.
Okay.
And those are two things that were part of that crime scene.
So he did say Gray.
For Thompson to say that there was no sexual assault. Of course there wasn't. He didn't have enough time. Somebody came up there. But why are you defending somebody who just killed 4 people? You know what?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You know what's weird to me is I think there's a sexual component to it. I just don't know if he was going... I mean, he's so concerned about DNA, Kohberger. I don't know if he was going to do anything. I mean, what was he going to do? I think he was there to kill, and I think it's the same thing as Elliot Rodger. You know, he doesn't... I mean, the sexual component is hate, is what it is. So he doesn't like the women. I mean, like Elliot Rodger, he hated blonde girls specifically. Didn't care about dark-haired girls, even though dark-haired girls are just as pretty or prettier than than blondes. But anyway, I'm just kidding. I just don't understand what you know. Like Elliot Rodger wanted to kill because he hated the fact that they didn't like him, and they were having sex with these other guys, and that's why he hated guys too, because they got to be with the girls. And you know, one interesting about Elliot Rodgers is he used a knife to kill his 2 male roommates, and then he goes out and shoots, so separating himself personally. And Kohberger's the opposite. You know, he didn't kill anybody somewhere else, but he used the knife to kill the people inside of the house. Huh? I don't know if something happened to Bundy Data's comment. Bryan Kohberger would have expected... So I don't know if Kohberger went there for any sexual gratification, unless he got gratification from killing, which some killers do. But I don't think he was going to like physically, sexually assault anybody. I think he was there to kill, and maybe that made him feel good. But there's actually, you know, obviously there's a sexual component because he's killing because they're females.
Why are you not even making him stand in the courtroom and admit that he killed 4 people? I mean...
Hey, thanks for the coffee. Me. Not me, myself. There's somebody named Me up there.
It's upside down world sometimes.
And
when
yes,
you go in
you
those
too
court
can
systems
do that.
and
Here's another.
Literally, oh, you've been so respectful. You can sit down when you plead guilty, you know, with a yes and no answer. So, we're just glad to be done with it. We're glad to move on.
When you said drunk, passed out girls gagging girls, was there something that happened at the crime scene involving gagging that you heard?
Yeah. That's what we've heard. That's why we want to get all these facts straight. So we don't want to...
So I wonder who they heard that from, because he doesn't repeat stuff that some rando says. He repeats stuff that he's told by people like officers and people that saw something.
I have a statement that isn't accurate, but when you have a prosecution that just is okay with covering everything up and not telling you what's going on, it's hard to be accurate. And they've criticized us for not being accurate on certain things, and it's because we're not getting the facts. Parents shouldn't have to beg to know what happened to their kid the last 24 hours of their life. We figured out everything that we could. You know, we got the grub truck video before they did. We got the white car. We got the 112 surveillance even before they got it. We were the ones that...
So they got the 1122 King Road surveillance. Yeah, right, because I think his daughter got that. His daughter, Olivia, she did some amazing work out there. She's the one, I think, let's see, what was it? She looked at the cell phone of Kaylee and then saw that she'd purchased something at Grub Truck and then found out that they live stream it, then went over and found the stream online, and there it is. I mean, that was, Kaylee and Maddie in there. And then there was also Jack Showalter. He was the guy that was with them. He's obviously a friend. If they had released the surveillance footage of them walking down the street, all three basically arm in arm together walking down the street, everyone would have immediately went, oh. But here's the way it works on true crime, So Jack Showalter is walking with Maddie and Kaylee from the corner club. They're walking down the street together. And, the second we got that video, well, let's just do it the other direction. So when they're at the Grub Truck, he comes in after them and sort of stands back. And it looked weird. I got to be honest. I thought it looked weird too. He stands back and then he waits around and he talks to other people. And then they just sort of, take off in a car and, they ordered, Kaylee and Maddie got in the car and took off. And he's like, oh, well, see ya. And then he walks away. And then I could see how people at that time might be kind of wondering, who is this guy who just sort of showed up right behind him? Is he stalking them? But the moment they showed the other video, the let's see, what did you say to Adam? I told Adam everything. That video with Jack Showalter with them, just those three walking down the street, that should have just shut everybody up about that, because at that point you realize he's just a friend that was hanging out with them. Now you could go, well, how do we know he had other feelings? And then after that, okay, then you're trying too hard. Because before you just thought he was a random guy who showed up behind them. And see, that's how true crime works. The bad people on true crime, they won't ever switch after they get something like that. They'll come up with that other scenario to keep everybody interested in something.
Tell them to go to these cameras and pull them off. I'm sure they already were going to do that anyway, but we got it before they did.
Yeah, so remember that?
They were just concerned that they weren't in control and we knew too much stuff. And
welcome, happy chickadees.
And
did someone with the investigation?
Let me rewind it a little bit more here. Hold on.
Just glad to be done with it. We're glad to move on.
When you said drunk, passed out girls gagging girls, was there something that happened at the crime scene involving gagging that you heard?
Yeah. That's what we've heard. That's why we want to get all these facts straight. So we don't want to have a statement that isn't accurate. But when you have a prosecution that just is okay with covering everything up and not telling you what's going on, it's hard to be accurate. And they've criticized us for not being accurate on certain things. And it's because we're not getting the facts. Parents shouldn't have to beg to know what happened to their kid the last 24 hours of their life. We figured out everything that we could. We got the Grub Truck video before they did. We got the white car. We got the 112 surveillance even before they got it. We were the ones that tell them to go to these cameras and pull them off. I'm sure they already were going to do that anyway, but we got it before they did. So they were just concerned that.
Man, I would have loved to have that whole video.
They weren't in control and we knew too much stuff. And
did someone with the investigation describe that Kaylee or Maddie was gagged during this horrible crime?
I was told that by somebody in I can give that out. That was Babbitt. That was Babbitt who gave that information.
Wow, so that's the coroner. I mean, she's the one that told him that. That's crazy. That's like actual information that Babbitt told him that. So that means the part about, she thought it looked like he could. So maybe it's something I pictured something like he put the knife in her mouth, but not the sharp end first, and pressed down to keep her, or I don't know, maybe his hand too. I don't know. I guess if he put the knife in there, he wouldn't have a knife to. But apparently, she says she got stabbed 50 times. That's crazy.
What did she say?
There was some damage to her. There was some damage around her mouth, right here, like somebody had pressed in and tried to keep her quiet. Mm-hmm. She'd been hit.
But if he used his hands, she would have bitten down, and there would have been problems. Although we only see one hand in the image. the selfie that he takes. And I think his thumbs up is with his left hand, right? Or what looks like his left hand, but I think it's his right. If that's a selfie, usually you have to flip the image horizontally, but maybe law enforcement already flipped the image horizontally. Don't know.
Multiple times in her head, and her skull was damaged. We gotta go. So, all right, they're telling me I gotta go, so we gotta fly. We gotta fly out of here.
And just for our viewers,
well, they probably had to fly to go to the interviews they did today.
Kathy Babbitt is the coroner, so she has spoken with you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, good interview there by Ashley Banfield. You know how I remember her name every time? Like sometimes her name doesn't pop right into my head, but I always think of her name as the same name as the field across the street from 1112. You know, the one right in front of the Sigma Chi house is called Banfield. Although I'm sure there's no D in her name. Yeah, they probably did take off to go to New York to do the... I didn't really like the way that today that went. The lady that was interviewing them seemed sort of biased. Like today's interview when they were on, I don't know if it was the Today's Show or whatever the hell it was, she seemed to make it seem like it was weird that he wanted to know the details of what happened to his daughter. I think that's totally normal. You know, I mean, that's absolutely normal. He wants to know what happened. I hope he doesn't, force them to let him see a picture of her, of what happened to her. I hope he doesn't want to see that, because I think, it's better to have a memory of her. I'm not sure what channel it was, but I think it's better to have a memory of her, of how she lived. All right, guys, if you're out there, if you have the ability to help support the Gray Hughes Investigates YouTube channel so we can keep on trucking, that would be awesome. Become a channel member, gift some channel memberships. We got super chats, we got the coffees, we got everything. All right. If you like my content, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Like tactical gloves of some kind. Yeah, you can't unsee it. It's not. I don't recommend, because that's the only thing that you'll ever see in your mind after that. You probably almost forget what they look like. You'll just see this child that was your own child that was killed. Yeah, I mean, we all want to know because we want to figure out what happened, right? I mean, when I do these cases, I want to figure out what happened, so I want to know the details. And I've seen so many crimes now that I don't get shook up by it or anything like that. Yeah, well, Steve might. You might want to see what happened to her. In some ways, it's kind of like, I could see wanting to see that so that you're, like, you kind of went through it with them, sort of, like you saw what happened, and you're, I don't know, sort of after the fact, I guess. Let's see. About my sister's death. Yeah, I mean, that's like I was saying the other night. Like when my brother passed away, he was 22, I was 20. Yeah, same age as these kids, really. And then, he died in the fraternity. His heart started beating funny. Nobody really knows what happened. Like, he had traces of coke in his system, like everybody did in the 80s. This is 1986, so I'm pretty old myself. But I did. Sometimes I regret running. I just sort of pushed my way past all the doctors and ran back and just sort of found him back there, and he was just laying there. He looked normal, but his hair wasn't. It felt weird. Like I don't know. Almost, it was weird how it almost felt like I could tell that his soul was gone. It was strange. Do we know for a fact that Xana was covered with... No, we don't. I'm not even sure where that came from. You know, maybe Hunter put something on her, but I haven't heard that in any of the books or anything. Here, maybe if I put the coffee link in here, maybe that'll work. And by the way, I you know, the Delphi transcripts are out. I read the first night. It was 4 hours and some odd. It was just too much reading. And then today I put out the day 2, which was the short day. Remember how they did Saturdays but half days? And I'm having Speechify just read it. And I think it works better than when I was reading it. You know, although I can't stop and show stuff, I just don't have the time. I mean, the one tomorrow is going to be, I sped it up 20%, so it'll be 4 hours, or 3 hours and 50-something minutes. There's no way I could live stream and then talk about each element. That's like 6 hours, and nobody's watching. I mean, obviously people aren't interested in the Delphi case currently, because when I do it, you get like 60 people there. Yeah, Xana seemed pretty cool. Yeah, so tomorrow's day 3. I'm just going to keep putting them out just so that there's a record of the trial, even though, I mean, it's a lot quicker for me. I actually built a Python script. You guys might think this was pretty interesting. I'll show it to you. I'm sure about 150 people will leave as soon as I pull that out, but that's fine. So let's see right here. This is what, like, after you have a text transcript in a PDF format, and you copy the text, it looks like this. See all this crazy, these ones and the volume here, and how it says A and Q, you know, the questions and the A's and all that crap. Now sometimes it's still said, you know, like a question. Look at right there. See that? Every once in a while you hear it say Q. And in your role and I'm like, okay, I didn't like those either. These Q's in here. And so all this stuff, I just want it to be a clean script, right? So this is the entire, like, I pasted every bit of tomorrow's day number 3. Look at all this. I mean, look at how much wording this is, you guys. I'm just scrolling down. It's ridiculous. Look at this right here. Like right over here. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on forever. There's just tons and tons of text. And so what I do is, so that's the input file, right? Now check this out. This is the Python script that I use ChatGPT to help make me, and I edited it around a little bit myself. And so what it does is it takes that input right there. There's the input. So input, and then the output is the cleaned output. And then it says right here, this part, it skips lines that are only numbers. So it removes those that are just numbers, removes them. Skips lines that start with the word volume. So it gets rid of those. And then over here it skips lines that are all caps and longer than 5 characters, and then it removes Q and A from the beginning. So if it says Q and a space, remove it, and then it removes A with a space and removes it. Then it also removes any internal Q or space or A space surrounded by the word boundaries. You see that? Isn't that cool? Now watch this. When I run it, it just runs and then boom, it's done. That fast. And then I go over here, cleaned output. Now look at this. Boom. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, look at that. No more QAs, no more anything. And then I load this sucker into Speechify and it puts it all out there and then boom. See that? Awesome. But hey, guys, what about we can almost reach the goal tonight. We need 10 more memberships and then we'll reach the goal. Can we do that as a group? That would be awesome. If you think that my content is good. See, but like even like this, you know, I spend time trying to make something to be able to do something different. But look at this, is one huge, massive block, and it works good. Because every time there's a question, it says, and then on your, and then on to another facility or to the facility for an autopsy. That's correct. So I just have one person reading it. But they, you know, obviously it's like how when I was reading it, except it's just better. I was kind of, you know, I ramble on, I was getting tired. I make mistakes. This one is just going to read exactly what's in there. Now, I could have done something where, you know, anytime AW shows up, I change it to Abby. Have there been, yeah, if we get 10 more memberships, I'll donate 5 memberships myself. All right. Gets Gray some chicken wings. So that would be 15 more. That would be pretty cool. That would be 25. So if you guys can do 10 more memberships out there, then I'll donate 5 myself. Aphrodite 42023 gets Gray some chicken wings. I don't see him. I don't see the chicken wings. Or is that you on... well, thanks, Deborah, on PayPal there. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. All right. Or I'll play this again. Maybe there's people out there that haven't seen it. Footage on that camera. And by the way, this is what... And then he goes by the ridge. This is what... what's his face? Thompson didn't know. He didn't explain it correctly. Yeah, my channel is even more unique because I'm the only one that actually, you know, donates thousands. I mean, $251,000 in 5 years. Now I know some people, others, maybe something. But we actually try to go out and make a difference. And the way that happens is if you guys are getting the channel memberships and the super chats, etc., etc. All right, so this is when it goes in and does its 3-point turn back here, drives back behind over here. What makes it unique, little DB, from your perspective? And see, this is 406. That's Kohberger in that car. Isn't that crazy? Because right now, you know he's in that car right there. Because he's admitted doing this. And then he drives right down here in front of 500 Queen Road. And then the headlights were moving around, and you could see, watch this for a second. Watch how interesting this is. So right here, can you see how the headlights are hitting that building over there? See how it lights up that whole building, and then watch when it goes down. Oh, now the lights go down. So they were able to see that movement on the building over there on the 1112 King Road camera. When it was trying to turn around, stop, or park, or whatever, right? So in this case, I had to do some editing here. Hey, look at that. There's Aphrodite with one of them. Very cool, very cool. 9 more, 9 more. Welcome, Heidi. And then he, so this is the same spot, different video. Driving down, and then I had to change it out again. And there's the same. That's 1119 right in front of us there. You can even see their TV on. Here's where it does the 3-point turn. Then it backs up. And just know, it's crazy, right? To know for certain. I mean, I've always been certain, but for the rest of you, you could say, look, Kohberger is in that car right now. And then he goes back around the building here. Hey, there's M10. We only need 8 more now. Yeah, nobody's deleting your comment. And it came around back behind her for the last time, and it was going way faster this time. And it comes around. You can see the top of the car there. It comes around. And you know what's amazing is not one news outlet, nobody has ever shown the 1330 Linda Lane footage, except for when I was on Court TV that one time. Vinny, we talked about it and we showed it. I mean, it was amazing. But other than that, nobody ever talks about it. It's almost like it doesn't exist. And when they make their animations, they completely just leave it out. They have the car drive up this street right here. It's wild. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Now, here it goes. Here it goes. I'll just do this again here. And this part of my animation is better than that other girl that made her animation. Okay. Her other part, the overall model and everything is better than mine. Of course, when I put my video out, very few people saw it originally. You just go so deep and explore the tiniest details. No stone unturned. I really appreciated all of your work on the possible movements of the DoorDash driver, and of course your amazing anime. Well, thank you. Alright, you guys, we need 8 more memberships. Or equivalents. Which is, I think, $40. Alright, here we go, here we go. She comes up the stairs. I mean, obviously she could have got to the room quicker than how I have it. But I'm just going to say, oh, she goes up and she's just kind of peering around. She's not really sure. And then she goes back in again. And then Xana's up there. She's just kind of like, let's go. Oh, and then they see each other. And then she backs up and goes out of there. And it was amazing how she had almost exactly the same thing right here. But I think I did it better right here. Like this shot right here. This one's creepy as hell. Look at this. I mean, that's just like... And then right here, he's catching up. Ah, he's right there. That was him, basically. Now he's carving into Ethan's leg there. Yeah, maybe that's when he sat down. No, none of us really know exactly when he did anything. This is my theory that I had, that she got up after being wounded, and that's why he said, hey, I'm here to help you. Yeah, I think he was out of there by... I think he was out of there by 4:18 something. And then he spent a good minute and a half, 2 minutes at his car, taking off his bloody clothing and putting it maybe into a plastic bag, and then driving away at a high rate of speed. So none of us know the actual. I mean, I'm just going off of a theory. I mean, I think generally he went upstairs first. Bill Thompson says that she was in the kitchen maybe, and they met sort of at the bottom of the stairs. The special on Dateline said that she went upstairs, and then, so there's all kinds of different theories that people have, and I guess Kohberger is the one that would have the answer. And so that's why it would have been great if Bill Thompson just would have, nutted up and asked him the question. Hey, there's Michelle H. Okay, only 7 more now. No, I didn't add any more. Oh, yeah, I did. In this video, I added the barking and the thud sound. I mean, look at, I don't know if you want, I mean, look at this part here. I matched it up with her hitting the ground. I know it's kind of, but watch. See that, like on the ground. But that could even be right when the fighting's happening. Maybe that's when he confronted her. I mean, Kohberger could have came into the house as late as 4:14. 4:14. Thank you, Michelle H. All right. Yeah, so get it from him. Yeah. I just don't think there's an excuse how a prosecutor wouldn't make that part of the deal. Because here's how it would work. It's like, okay, I'm willing to cut you a deal, Kohberger. And if Kohberger had any conditions on it, then you just call it off. Just for the pure principle of it all. Okay, you just go, okay, yes, no appeals, and 4 life sentences at the max. You're not getting out, and no appeals. All right. But you're going to sit down and you're going to write down, and we're going to be able to ask you questions, and you're going to tell us exactly what happened, how you chose Maddie, what you did, and why, and tell us where you put the K-bar knife. And if they say, well, we don't think, okay, deal's off. That's it. And then you go to trial. I mean, that's exactly how it should have gone down. Because if they're willing to cut a deal, then that means he's admitting he did it, so he should have no problem telling every single person how it happened, right? Unless he's calculating that there is a chance I could get an appeal later, and I just need to, we don't want to go to trial, and all this crap. He must have thought that there might be something. That's right, Allie Cake's got the number. 7 more memberships, and then I will donate $25 worth of memberships myself. And no, M10 is doing that. Yeah, does anybody in here think that that's a good deal to not get the information? I mean, I don't think there's a person, a rational human being, that thinks it's okay. Now people go, he would just lie anyways. But part of it would be this. You're going to tell us what happened, Bryan, and you're going to start telling us. And if at any point part of your story does not match the facts of the case, the deal's off. Start right now. Boom. He's not going to be able to craft lies to match on the fly. Okay, so I think he would just start telling it at that moment. Hey, look at that, I'll eat cake. I'll eat cake. I guess that's where that came from. I'll eat cake. I'll eat cake. Well, it's as strong a plea as you can get, other than part of it should be to get the information. Right? I mean, the plea deal is about as strong as you could possibly get. He got, basically, this is the scenario right here. Kohberger goes to trial, and he's found guilty. Now, in the penalty phase, the death penalty portion is much harder to get. So there might have been somebody who said no. So let's go with, okay, he doesn't get the death penalty, so he gets life in prison. But now he has appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal. So really what this is as if he was found not guilty. I mean, that he was found guilty and the jury couldn't decide on death, and then let's pretend that the judge then had the ability to say, but I'm adding on that you can never appeal this case. That's what it'd be like. All right? I mean, so it's pretty strong, the actual outcome, except Judge Hippler himself, even in that last hearing, at the end started talking about, my friend Ada mentioned that, about the how he talked about not, he'll still be able to appeal. It just make it harder to win the appeal because he signed that. So, what does that really mean? I got confirmation that his mom persuaded him to plead. When you say you got confirmation, how do you get confirmation? I just don't. It's hard for me to believe anything that people type in the chat. Let's see. I saw a comment on the oh, geez, that guy. Oh, God. If it went ahead, it was quoted. Huh? Yeah. I would hesitate to believe anything over there. Happy Chicken D. Gray, do you think something is strange with this case? No. I don't. I mean, Kohberger's strange. I bet the jury would have convicted him, and you mean the guy that placed the glove on the ground? Yeah. Let's see. I'm sick of this. We need answers now. Yeah. Motive will be forever a question. Yeah, I don't think there's any. This guy, all it is Kohberger is the only thing that's weird about it. That's why the case was interesting. The reason this case is interesting, this case to me wouldn't be anywhere near as interesting if, for example, this was a jilted boyfriend or something, and he did the exact same outcome, that he killed 4 people and DNA led to him and everything. The case's interest level for me would be less, because it's just, okay, wow, this kid went nuts, it's so typical, etc. This case is a serial killer, wannabe, whatever you want to call him. He had no connection to them, and that's what makes it way more fascinating than just sort of the Tom, Dick, and Harry, oh yeah, this guy's boyfriend, it just gets really old. This one to me was way more interesting because of that. All right, we need 6 more channel memberships, you guys. You guys can do it. Personally, I think they have a civil case for emotional suffer by refusing to communicate with the families. Yeah, it'd be hard to win something like that, I think. I think they have a, let's see, it's Wild will be charged 12 years old as adults, but we can't make death penalty cases move in a better manner. It's Wild, we charged, oh yeah, 12-year-olds as adults. I don't know why I couldn't read that. Yeah. I just want to hear from Kohberger, why he did it. The thing is I think I know why he did it. I actually believe the Elliot Roger Papa Roger connection and Dateline on their original special said that their sources say that they believe Papa Rogers is Bryan Kohberger. And the thing is I actually think this is possible that the Maddie mentioned in Elliot Rogers' manifesto is the reason that Kohberger ended up choosing Maddie. Now, it might have been that he stumbled upon Maddie and went, oh man, I can pay homage to Elliot Rodger. Or before he left to go to Pullman, Washington, originally he already had picked her out because he knew the name of somebody he wanted, So he looks her up, and man, and it's crazy in these books here. They say exactly what I've said since the beginning. That Madison Mogen is the quintessential sort of sorority blonde girl, that exactly the type of person that Elliot Rodger would have absolutely hated. You know that? I think he absolutely would have hated, and so Kohberger sought out finding a person like that. And that's exactly the one he picked. I think he had the same issue. It was BK, but who deleted? I don't know. Maybe police did. Happy Chickadee. Now they got a warrant. Probably had it shut down. I think he stumbled upon Maddie after he found the house. And let's see. Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say, Lisa. I mean, that seems kind of generic. I don't think so. I mean, what are the odds that he happened to run across another Maddie? And that's what Elliot Rodger focused in on, how he had this friend that was Maddie, and then later on she grew into exactly the type of person he hated. And that's that's his victim too. So Kohberger's one victim that he chose is a Maddie. That seems really low odds to something like that. But yeah, maybe he drove by and saw her and he was like, it's a sign. Once he figured out what her name was and it says Maddie up in the window or whatever, maybe he thought, that's a sign. That's exactly the name of the one that Elliot Rodger. And don't you think, so if Kohberger is Papa Rodger, then of course he read the manifesto, right? Right. All right, we still need those 6 channel memberships so I can donate the 5 myself. Do we think this is the first time? I sometimes wonder, especially with... No. Yeah, it's definitely his first time, yeah. I think obviously I can't say definitely, but I think it's just low odds that he killed somebody else. Which one was that? I know, that's the thing, right? Like in that documentary, or even in the books, it says that he studied Elliot Rodger and Bundy. I mean, and those are the two. Like I said before, I made a video on Elliot Rodger. I wondered if Elliot Rodger is similar to the killer before they even arrested Bryan Kohberger. So on December 25th, 2022, I made a video. Then just 10 days after that, I made another video comparing Kohberger after they arrested him to Ted Bundy. And now that's all everybody talks about. Oh, Bundy and Elliot Rodger. So I'm not even a psychoanalyst, but isn't it kind of crazy that just on my own little intuition was able to come up with that? I guess that's what psychics do. What are you concerned that? Yeah, it's going to be. I don't know how Steve Goncalves is going to be able to get through that. I can't imagine him not wanting to turn around and running towards Kohberger. You know that? I can't. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of the cops trips and falls intentionally and not being able to tackle him to let him get a punch in or something, you know. I never said, I don't think I ever said Proberger first. I think somebody typed it in chat and we were saying it. But I should have claimed I was a psychic. That would have worked great. I could have just said, you know, put on a Swami hat and sat there and went, hey, that counts as a. So now we just need 5 more, you guys. I accidentally came here. Anybody know a good true crime channel? Well, mine. Thank you. Actually, Deadly came here. Oh man, that's so cool. You know what's awesome? $5.99 is like $8. I appreciate the $8 for coming in and trolling. That was good stuff. The YouTube algorithm. Well, you know what? I feel like I'm trolled by the YouTube algorithm. I'll give you that. All right, so now we just need 5 more. And then I'll donate 5 myself. And Kohberger said he was at the park where Ted Bundy buried shit. When did he say that? On the drive, Huawei Park. Yeah, I mean, we did the whole a show on that one victim that was they thought maybe was Bundy's. That's crazy to spend $8 as a troll, man. That's wild. $1 would have been all you had to do. Wow, Huawei Park. Yeah. Let me see if I have that story. That was a pretty interesting one. What was the name of that? I forgot her name. You ever done that, you guys? You ever look into a mirror and go like, or go up to a friend of yours and go like this? Oh my God. Oh my God. Whoa. And then when somebody says, what would you ask me if I was going like this? Oh my God. Whoa. Man. What would you ask me if I said that? I mean, give me what your actual response would be in real life. What would you say? Huh? What would you say if I went, oh my God, whoa. Come on, type it in. What would you say to me if I said that? Right. Jessica said, what's the matter? And then I would go, I forgot my name. All right, try doing that with like a family member or somebody. Somebody, you know, go up to them and go, whoa. What? Oh my God. And they go, what? What's going on? I forgot my name. Oh man, that'd be good. No, I'm not loaded. I remember somebody telling me that when I was at U of O, let's see, Oregon State. A guy named Glenn Ferris, I think was his name. He used to do that one all the time. He was so good at it. He was really good, like pop and locker too, man. He was the best you've ever seen. He would stand outside the window. You'd play like Beat It or something, you know, like Michael Jackson, Billie Jean or something. And all of a sudden he'd be walking downstairs outside the window, but there's no stairs, and then turn and then go down some more stairs as his head kept getting. I mean, he was hilarious, man. Now, do you think when we look in the mirror, we see what other people see? I don't know. My answer, not you, Gray, my answer. Oh. Are you, oh, I see. You would say, are you loaded? If I went, whoa. Like, dude. All right. What do you mean it went over your head? It's just, look it, just do it like this, Lisa. Go up to somebody you know and go, oh my God. And they say, what? And you go, I forgot my name. Just to see what their reaction is. It's not a joke with some sort of there's logic to it or anything like that. It's just, that's all you do. You just to see them go, and if they tell you what your name is, there's something wrong with them, all right? Like if they don't get it and they go, it's Gray, man. Oh! Yeah. I'd be on a 72-hour hold. All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to get going, you guys. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you to Betty Black 99, Trudy Burgoyne. I'll definitely be covering the penalty, not the penalty, the sentencing, right? And apparently I'm going to be on Court TV on the 22nd, so we'll probably do a show after that, and then I'll stream live on the 23rd, sentencing, and then I'm going to be on Court TV, apparently. I don't think Vinny's there, though. And then I'm going to be on Court TV on the 23rd at night. Anyways, thanks to Cheryl Moran with the double cat eye there. And then we had Smitty LS, 1 month, Vicky White, gifted a membership, Richard Watts, then Teresa Aaron Murray, tired of it all, K. Lou 209, Tracy Antok, Shimo 0524, and Shame 052, or Shamo, I guess. Yeah, became a new member. Then Monica Reeves, Susie Clue, KMTX78, Alley Cake 9753, Laney Carter, Love Boston, Cheryl Moran gifted 5. Very, very generous, thank you. And then Happy Chickadee, and then Aphrodite 2023, M10 gifted a membership, Michelle, Alley Cake gifted 1, and the YouTube algorithm. All right. And thanks to everybody for your generosity. Helps support the channel. If you check back in on the last day of the month, we have our donation nights usually. Hopefully we get to a point where this month where I can donate. We've really slowed down dramatically lately, so it's going to be hard to get to a place. No, it didn't come from Kobaka's phone. No. 2 days prior, which makes sense. Kopaka has nothing to do with anything. Two fingers, Tony. Has nothing to do with anything. All right, thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys later. And as I always say, until next time. Oh, before I leave, though, I want to say thanks to Angenette Levy for letting us play her interview that she did. And thanks to Law and Crime for that. Also, thanks to Ashley Banfield out there for interviewing Steve Goncalves. She seems to have a pretty good relationship with him, interviews him many times. I text him from time to time. For example, like somebody today was claiming that he said that he was told about that Kohberger matched people in CODIS. And I talked to this person on the phone, and she just, I don't know, just wasn't I was trying to get a sentence in. It was just like, those calls when I used to do the call-ins, and people just keep talk. Every time I'm trying to get a point out, they just start blabbing really loud, and then I go, and they go, Gray, you're so mean to your what do you mean? They won't let me get a word in edgewise. That's how it was. It was just crazy. I don't even know how to explain it. And so it turns out I texted him and she was wrong. So anyways, thanks everybody. See you guys later. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person. Hey, thanks, Lanky Tor. Oh, shit, what is
crime dissector, flag rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Radio's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector.
All right. So check it out. Now we just need one $5, and I'll donate the 5 memberships because Lanky Tor snuck that in right at the buzzer. We just need one $5, and I'll donate 5 memberships. Who's gonna do it? All right, here we go. Oh, I'm getting ready. I think somebody will do it. All right at the buzzer here, you guys. Look at that, 66 months. You're right up there with the top ones. I think there's 68 months. I don't think anybody's at 70 yet. So I'm still here. We got one shot here. We just need one gifted membership. And then I'll donate 5 right on top of it. Because Lanky Tor snuck in with that. Somebody can do it. I know it. I know it. Oh, wait, there's Lisa. Okay. What do you mean Leon? Leon's not here. He wasn't watching.
Today I'm going to make a beat. We're going to outputs.
Alright, where is it? Where is it? I figured that if we could easily get there on that. Yeah, we're getting spammed over here. What's going on? What's happening? Who's this Aphrodite guy? Get rid of this. I mean, what's going on with that? Jesus. Slow down, okay? Yeah, he is awesome. God, who's that one? Oh, look at that guy get... Oh, that was me. Never mind. So, welcome to Sparker17. Kukulaka. And the rest of you. Oh, I didn't see Leon in here. I didn't see him. Oh. What do you mean you hear he was there? Here. I don't know what that means. Alright, thanks everybody. Now, I'll say it again. Be safe out there. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, flag rejector.
Oh, wait a minute.
Gonna get ya on a stretcher.
Okay.
If you try and...
I missed M10's 10 there. Okay, well, thanks, M10. Jesus. I thought that was somebody spamming. It was actually everybody getting their free memberships. That was hilarious. Thanks, M10. Okay, that was you. You were Leon. Yeah. All right, thanks. And thanks to Amy Lemoyne. Every time I try to get out of here, you guys are supporting the channel. Okay, but if you guys are interested at all, I'm trying to post the Delphi. I'm just going to put it out there sort of as an archive. I don't think anybody's, the trial's over. They're probably not interested in it. Now, if Richard Allen ever gets a second trial, then of course people will be like, oh, let me see what was on the... And maybe they'd watch it. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to put them out, all right? Tomorrow's is 5 hours and something. Anyways, thanks, M10. That was very kind of you. And thank you, Amy Lemoyne, right there at the end. All right. And if you think of, the thing is we got the sentencing coming up. And then I feel like right after that, I have about 4 FOIA requests out there. So we're going to have to see what's happening because I think everyone in here is interested in seeing any bit of new information that comes out, right? The thing is, as soon as there's going to be interviews, they're going to start saying stuff, and I think we just got to keep covering that until it just turns into where all the discoveries out there, we've seen it, and then at that point, there's nothing else to talk about because he's in prison forever, and all the information's out there. I think the smartest move for the prosecutors is to put out a packet, and a website basically where you can download all of it from one place. Wow, Love Boston just gifted one. Dixie Hippie, I can't believe you had gray on. Yeah. Hey, see that? Dixie Hippie just typed in, I can't believe you had gray on your show, Vinny. Now watch when I'm on Court TV. Just trust what I'm saying right here. When I'm on Court TV coming up this next week, when they put the video out on YouTube, make sure to go over there and watch all of these trolls that come from the same place. Type in exactly what Dixie Hippie just typed in. In fact, I'm going to go play. I'm sure that's what you want me to do, right, Dixie Hippie? I'll play you the quote, even though I can do it exactly the same way. It's hilarious. This is what they say under every single video. It's crazy. It's just without fail, about 10 of them say the same damn thing over and over and over. Here it is. Well, listen.
See that? I'm sure they'll get, when I was on Court TV, do you guys see that? I'm sure they'll get the obligatory, I can't believe you had gray on your show, Vinny. I'm never watching again. When I was on Court TV, did you guys see that?
I don't know what it is every time.
Sure
I think it's funny as hell, man.
Obligatory, I can't believe you had gray on your show, Vinny. I'm never watching again.
Oh my God, I could watch I don't know what it is. I could just watch that thing. Anyways, yeah, for some reason it's just so funny to me. And it's not only that, is because that's what I picture them sounding like. They say the same thing. Gray, I can't believe you had Vinny on. Every time I see his face, I turn it off. Or, I'm never watching again. What a bunch of losers. Give me a break. My God. I think I'm one of the only true crime channels that on every show that they do, put out the factual, or at least try my damnedest to put out the factual information in a case, work through it using the facts, and at the end of the day, we are right. Okay? We have it nailed. The rest of them try to do a little tightrope act where they can do the conspiracy and this one and look at me, all just to get as many subs and clicks as possible. And the sad part is I would be better than they are at that. I just can't do it mentally. Who the hell would ever sell their soul to put out information that is likely not true at all just to get people to watch? Ooh, I think you're onto something.
For example, the clown, the guy that had spiders on his eyes. What an idiot that guy is. Although he's a genius, really, because he got a bunch of, 200,000 suckers to believe in his bullcrap. You go underneath the comment section and it says, "Oh, God, this is so great. You're the best investigator." You know what his investigation is? He goes like this. Flips a coin up in the air. Yeah. Tunnels today. He probably writes down two crazy thoughts. Like one is buzzards in a field. The other one is a rock falling from a tree. And he goes, buzzards in the field. Oh, yeah. Now, there was the weather that day, and some people said they saw buzzards up in the sky. And one of them was, oh, my God. It's just, think about this for a minute, man. You actually believed in a clown, okay? Isn't a clown the last person in the world in the true crime arena that you should believe in at all? A literal clown, one that dresses up, right? A guy that dresses up as a freaking clown and you believe a word that guy says. You should be ashamed if you believed in the clown. Then there's a guy from UK who he's just spitballing. It's amazing how every time he spitballed, it was pro Kohberger every single time. It was always, he never saw any data that came in. He would twist it around in some crazy scenario that fit it not being Kohberger. It's so sick. And now it's like, well, you guys, I always thought that he was, was likely the guy, but I was just trying to look for other alternatives. I have an open mind. No, you don't. You have a mind to satisfy your viewers. Now, everybody wants to satisfy their viewers. The difference is I won't sell my soul to just say what my viewers want me to say. Right? I'll say, like the freaks, when they're watching, they probably go, "Oh, this is what I think on something." And I'm not going to go, "Well, yeah, I think that too, everybody. Yay, can you like me? Can you like me more?" That's weird, isn't it? I think that's weird as hell. True crime is true crime. You go where the facts take you. That's that other guy, that Embry wacko. He actually said after he'd been selling a bunch of crap for months to his viewers, stuff that absolutely wasn't true whatsoever, at the end he goes, "Well, you know what? I have to say, I think he probably did it now." And then his viewers went nuts on him. "How can you do this to us, Jay? How can you do it? Say it isn't so." Ooh. And then what was it? Then the next day, you know what he did? He came out and said, "You know what, you guys? My job is to prove that Kohberger didn't do it." And I was thinking to myself, you know what? You know what your job is to tell the truth and find the facts. Don't worry about who that is. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's what your job is. If you're a true crime YouTuber, your job is to put out the factual information in a case and give the people that watch your channel the closest you can come up with what actually happened. Doesn't that sound like that's what we're supposed to be doing here? Doesn't that make sense? Oh, Gray. I'm never watching again. Yee! Oh, man. Yeah. What's the other one? What was the thing? You bastard. Gray, you bastard. Right. So that's what you would think, right? Right. All right, everybody. Now I'm really ending the show, but I really appreciate everybody coming here and supporting the channel and watching and hitting that like button. We're at 406. If you haven't hit it yet, please hit it. That's pretty easy to do. You use your nose, you use your toes. Whatever blows, just press the damn button. It's so simple. Yeah, I don't know who the blonde one is, thank God. I don't watch any of those people. I literally, I mean, maybe for 5 minutes somebody will go, oh God, and you can just already see it over and over again, selling garbage. Oh, he threw the knife in the dumpster. There's a guy waiting for another car. Look at this guy. Who's that blurry one? Yeah, okay. Well, it's Kohberger. He's admitted to it. Well, he's just doing it for... All right, I'm going to play it for the third time. Here we go. Thanks, everybody. Be safe out there. Please.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing.
There was an interesting case. Hey, by the way, wait, hold on. I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
I have not seen one person.
There is this one interesting one here that maybe we take a look at. I'm not sure what's happening in this one here. Do you guys hear about this thing? Really quick. I'm sorry, I'm back again. This one was interesting. I'm not sure if there's an update on it, but look at this. 17-year-old arrested in connection with paddleboarder's death in Union. So this lady, she's like a paddleboarder, and then this person strangled her to death. And they arrested him. So I don't know who the hell that is, you know? Like, who did it end up being? That's in, I guess it's in Maine, right? So let's just look that up really quick. Let's see. Maine, paddle boarder strangled. That was like yesterday when I put this in a folder. Suspect arrested 7 hours ago. Okay, let's see. The
17-year-old is in custody.
17-year-old's in custody, so we might not get his name, is in the death of a Maine paddleboarder. Yeah, I know, we know that, Bertie. I said that right when I started talking. Earlier this month, was charged with 1 count of murder, appearing in court for the first time on Friday. Court documents unsealed with the Rockland County District Court in Knox County identified the teen as Devin Young, say he acted with depraved indifference, wow, to Stewart's life when he allegedly intentionally killed her. Stewart, 48, was found dead on July 3rd at Crawford Pond in Union. Her cause of death was strangulation and blunt force trauma, according to the state's Office of Chief Medical Examiner. The suspect was arrested without incident Wednesday night, according to police. He came to the pond area to spend summer vacation time with his family, according to an official familiar with the investigation. He is currently in custody at the Long Creek Youth Development Center in South Portland. That's Maine. There's a Portland, Maine. State prosecutors have moved to charge him as an adult. According to a spokesperson for the Maine Attorney General's office, at his brief first appearance Friday, Young entered a denial, a procedural move. Meanwhile, Young will be kept in custody at a juvenile facility to appear at a future court appearance. Young's next hearing has been set for August 22nd. Now, Stewart had rented a campsite at Mac Family Campground for the summer season on May 1st. She had only stayed on the campground for a few nights prior to her disappearance on July 2nd. Stewart's body was found under unusual circumstances, according to officials. I mean, what the hell happened here? Devin Young. Let's see, do they have a picture of this guy anywhere? Is that him right there? Jesus. Okay, now I got to read some of this. Devin Young, 17, was charged in Sonny Stewart's murder. He camped near Crawford Pond. He looks like he's probably an incel type. With family, his Facebook profile showing guns drew outrage. Devin Young, a 17-year-old from Frankfort, Maine, had been charged with murder for the death of paddleboarder Sunshine Sonny Stewart on July 2nd. Young was identified as the murder suspect from court documents. Who was Devin Young? Devin Young was charged for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Sunshine Stewart and acting with depraved indifference. Court documents revealed that Young, with his parents, spent the summer there. When Sunshine Stewart was murdered, Devin Young and his family were staying at the Micmac family campground near the pond in Union. Oh, God. Now I'm here longer. Sorry. So right there, right inside this, I mean, it's pretty dense woods around there too. Is there any 360-degree cameras? There's nothing at all. Their home in Franklin is located around 30 miles from the Crawford Pond. Unverified social media posts claim to have identified by the parents of Young. Many of the supposed photos were also seen in the Facebook profile of Devin Young, which still remained active. If Zozo was here, she'd know exactly. Get that link for me in 10 seconds. Devin Young's parents, Elle and Devin Young on Facebook. Well, thanks, Jessica. Man, I don't know what, is that him in the background there, and that's his parents? Ah, man, look at this guy. Whew. Wow. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I guess I can't get out of here. 11 hours ago, 4 hours ago. No, it's not. It's just a video. Court documents identified main team. Have you guys heard of this? Most of you, I mean. Sunshine Stewart murder Devin Young. Let me see. Devin. Devin Young. How did he spell that? That one doesn't have it, of course. Oh, there it is. Deven. Oh, that's him. Wow, okay. Well, that's pretty weird. This is just a few years ago, 5 years ago. Ah, man, this is the guy. This is, oh man, this guy here, he could have turned into a Kohberger type. I mean, this is absolute. That's when they say depraved indifference. You know, why did he strangle her? Did he try to assault her in some way too, or, you know, what was this kid doing? That's crazy. Oh yeah, I mean, I bet he got, he's probably another incel type. What do you think? I mean, he does kind of seem like that, right? Yeah, what a psycho, Jesus. Great, innocent until proven guilty, you bastard. Yeah, I know, but they've arrested him and charged him with depraved indifference. Do you think it was somebody else at this point? They must have a good reason. Let's see. They were asking for male DNA during investigation, so I think it was an essay. Oh yeah, jeez. Wow, that's crazy. Wow, what a nightmare for her. Just seeing this ogre beast come running up, and she's just paddleboarding. Yeah. All right, you guys. I thought I'd throw that little story in on the side there. I thought that was pretty interesting. Maybe we'll have to dig into that a little bit more. That's strange. That's a weird one. All right, thanks everybody. Now I'm really out of here. I swear to God. And thanks up there to Jessica Schubach for that extra 5. All right, see you later. Be safe.
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Grader's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender.
It's the house!
Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.
Correct.